Well, here it is, Tuesday. It's Election Tuesday. It's Election Day Tuesday, and hopefully you'll head out and go vote and do your civic duty. Which today it's basically primary day. Although in the judges' races, they'll decide who's going to be the judges today. It's the real deal for them. So you can get out and vote for Bronny or whoever else you're looking to vote for, and it, let me ask you this, Ryan. They said judges vote. Is it real judges or is it the faux judges as well that are like heads of counties and things like that? Do we just?
It's primaries for the county judges.
Oh, okay.
And so they should be on the regular November ballot. But another thing too to add, Dave, and this is very important.
Okay.
House District 70 is a special general election that is being voted on again today.
That's the one with Stubblefield.
No, this is Carlton Wings.
Oh, Carlton Wings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's very important that if you are a conservative, get out and vote today, because in Pulaski County, the last numbers I looked at, Democrats were outvoting Republicans 3-1.
Wow.
And so that should be a signal and a wake-up call to everyone that if you have conservative candidates that fall within Pulaski County, you need to get out to the polls today. And general Republicans vote on election day. It's kind of the modus operandi that they have. I voted early. My wife voted early. Had others vote early. But
I got to tell you, I went to vote early twice, but I couldn't get past Popeye's chicken. I'm being honest here. I was driving.
It's a conspiracy.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Suddenly I saw Popeye's chicken.
How can we distract Dave? Popeye's chicken.
Yeah.
But it's very important. I know a lot of folks have worked that race. AFP has worked that race. But the voting within Pulaski County, not necessarily within that district, we're trying to find that information, but it was 3-1 Democrats versus Republicans. There's I think a Democrat sheriff's race going on, and so that's drawing out a lot of voters. So voting momentum in Pulaski County is definitely firmly in the Democrat category.
They're turning out, in other words.
They are turning out.
Okay, well, that was a concern of the Republicans early on this year that, we got Trump in office in the White House, but if we lose the House, or God help us if we would happen to lose the Senate, it will be a bad day for Republicans.
Yeah.
But what do you got, a spider?
Now I got a little bug.
I was reading last night that.
Is it one of those Chinese bugs?
Yeah.
Did it have a microphone on its back?
It doesn't.
You never know.
Just making sure.
I was reading last night that Cole Jester said that the early voting is record numbers. So
Yeah.
In Pulaski County, record numbers.
I think across the board
Yeah.
is what he was referencing. So across the state, it's record numbers.
Mhm.
Wow.
So that's good.
So maybe
That could
it's
be
going to
good.
be bigger than 20 or 25%.
Could be.
You know,
Could be.
a lot of people will disagree with me on this, but maybe if the Democrats turn out in droves and there's some big upsets, maybe the Republicans will quit taking people for granted.
Yeah. Well,
they can't vote in the primary, so Democrats, unless you're optional.
yeah.
That's the big thing people keep forgetting about this year.
Yeah, you can. You have to be registered as a Republican or as optional to get the ballot for the party.
But you still
the
get it for the
Republican.
justices,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you can still get it for the judicials, the non-partisan judicials. Yeah,
Yeah, because I usually get all the propaganda from the left side too. I mean, they send me everything, and I haven't hardly seen anything for their candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why, but it just seems to be that way.
I was having that conversation last night because a person that I know in Little Rock has a podcast, and they were like, I can't get any. They were like, I would love to have some Democrats on, but once they watch my podcast and they see what kind of other candidates I've had on, they don't want to get on. And I'm like, well, that's just kind of how it is right now. They're focusing on their base.
Well, that's the left. The left never comes. how many Democrats do we have call here who wants to come on?
That's what I said. I was
And
like,
they
if
know
he was like,
you know how many. I have,
Yeah, well,
I
I'll
have
have you
Democrats on all the time if they want to come on, but they never show up.
that's because they are not confident in their stances.
That's correct. They
And that's
don't-
that was my response to him.
Yeah. Well, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before.
I mean, there are times to where the opposite side shares an idea or something here and there. I mean, it's been fascinating when you talk about like even economics in general. Anti-tariff situation. Positions.
They are all a bunch of Keynesians.
Well, there is that, but it's just odd. And this is I think this is just something that we're seeing in the shift. It's like Groucho Marx said, and this is not just about any one political party or anything. It's actually just about the state of American politics.
Now, are you sure it was Groucho or was it Harpo?
No, I know it's Groucho.
Okay.
I know it's Groucho because he said, you don't like my principles? Don't worry, I have others.
Yeah, that's true.
And I tell you, it is very interesting, Dave, to see how all candidates position themselves. The narrative, that's what you're getting when this curated narrative of who the candidates say that they are. And that's why it's important to have outside organizations like Americans for Prosperity, like Family Council, like Arkansas Right to Life, Opportunity Arkansas does a good job too on standing for a principled position, a hardline principled position. Let's say like free speech, or let's say free markets.
Or
and then
Second Amendment.
And then when you have candidates that come out and say, we're for all those things, to hold them accountable to the votes that they make that either advance or retreat those principled positions.
Mm-hmm.
And now that's not a fun thing for, being observed changes the nature of things.
Oh, yeah.
What about this thing that was sent out paid for by Arkansas conservatives against Brian Norris?
I have no idea.
It says, Brian Norris empowering the radical left to destroy our Constitution and erase our freedoms.
Yeah.
Did
it have any sources?
And it turns out Chris Caldwell
yeah.
is the person who is the registered agent for that organization.
Mm-hmm.
So Arkansas conservatives vote for Senator Hammer or Judge Harrison and against Brian Norris. That's a complete lie.
So there are times when AFP for our mail, if we do this, we'll say, like, for example, champion of, some type of policy. We will actually have down at the bottom, our legal team requires us to do this. I have to have a notation, a citation of where someone can go to verify the truth of the statement we made on that.
That's what they should have to have.
Yeah,
that's what you should have to have, because this is we know it's a complete lie.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and then it says at the top, Senator Hammer and Judge Harrison standing with President Trump to secure our elections and Constitution.
Well, it's just what I've noticed this go around is just throwing all of the national politics that they can at the wall here in the state to see what
desperation,
what sticks and may not, because it's just there's mail that I've read that I'm just like, there is no way personally that I would have ever started that design or that message, and two, it never would have gotten through the filters of AFP. We want to stand on truth about things. We want to stand on policy champions that are going to advance the things we try to advocate for, such as free markets, free speech, free people. And we're going to put in, like, even among those that don't have votes. So, for example, we support Bo Renshaw.
Right.
But the information that we used in that came from his candidate survey. So I know where he stands, at least what he's told us on these particular issues. So our mail has nothing to do with the fear mongering that happens at the national level that sometimes I just don't understand why we put it into some of the local races. Like, what are you going to do about this foreign affairs issue when you're a
it's
state
a local
legislator?
Race. Yeah.
It's a local race, and you see that. And so there's the public are smarter than you think.
But that's what they play on, though. They play on those people who are like, oh, I got to vote. I can't vote in a liberal. You know what I mean? But they don't know that Brian is not that.
Right. I agree to some extent, but what I'm finding out, and I had this conversation with my team, we've knocked thousands of doors this cycle. We've made tens of thousands of phone calls this cycle. We've had our mail go out. We've had our social go out. It is getting more and more difficult to talk to voters because, the mail tends to go in the trash. The social you can kind of ignore. The phone call you may not take. The doors do work. They do actually work, but still you're getting to about 25% of people will answer their door.
And they think you're trying to sell them something.
You're trying to sell them something or something like that. And so it's communication is the key piece. So what happens is you send out these emotive, like, oh my goodness, what in the world is this all about?
Yeah, that was a
shock
text.
value.
That was a text that went out to everybody.
Yeah, well, I think it's been mailed too, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But here's what I would say is that we live in a land of freedom of speech. Anybody can say what they want. We don't want to go down the road of Britain. You do not want to go to European route. I understand people have hurt feelings over these things because they are, there's pieces of it that are totally not true. You have to be discerning. One, you need to know what your personal voting criteria are. There are things that are bright red lines for me. There are some things that I'm very single issue on. There are some things that, I'm be like, okay, well, they're not with me on this, but they're also not in a position to actually affect that policy area because they're down in a local race somewhere. If my mayor has different opinions than me on foreign affairs, it doesn't matter because he does not deal in foreign affairs.
Right. But the thing about this is it makes me wonder, why are you so desperate? Like, he's best friends with the governor.
Well, I mean,
he's been seen hunting on a what do you call it?
Yeah.
With them side by side.
Yeah, I know. I know Chris.
And the desperation is sad.
Well,
like, why do you need to do that? Why do you need to stoop to that level?
Do we have his phone number?
I'm sure. I don't. I just saw this.
Let's call him. Ask him.
I would also say.
Okay.
I would also say that sometimes individuals who are in consulting will be the registered agent for organizations that they do not approve the messaging of. They need a registered
just somebody
agent.
Gets the mail.
Someone who gets the mail and registers them within the state because it's the state requirement that you have a legal registered agent here. So there's that. So I understand that he's the registered agent, but
he might not be the spokesperson.
He might be the spokesperson. He may not be the designer of it or any of that. He may not have even been in the approval process.
I actually do have his phone number right here. It's on that little thing that I sent you.
Oh, give him a call.
But
ask him if he'll join us to talk about the push card.
There's the email too.
Okay.
But the thing to go back to is, we have free speech and everybody needs to be held accountable for the things that they say. That's true. But we don't need to go down the road of like the European countries and start setting up draconian legislation that's going to say things people can't say what they want.
But it just makes you aware.
It does.
Why is this person trying so hard to make this other person? Are they desperate because they're scared they're going to lose?
No
idea. Or like that's what goes through my mind.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't even have thought about that.
It's
until I see something like that and I'm like,
yeah.
Why would you do that? Like,
have you guys gotten an inordinate amount of push cards this year?
Well, I mean, a lot.
I haven't really.
Oh, brother, I bet you I have gotten.
I probably registered to vote
in the hundreds.
Well, I would think that if they looked at my voting record, like if a campaign looked at my voting record, in general, they could pretty much say, we know Ryan's going to vote every single time that there's a poll. Polling locations are open. I'm going to vote. And in general, they probably could have saved a lot of money. I mean, there's folks that I support that have sent me like 4 cards, and I don't mind that per se. There has been some, and I won't mention too. We'll talk after the fact. Maybe after today. There's some interesting ways of. There's some mail that has actually worked. Like, I'm very skeptical of mail, but there is a candidate that sent a piece in my area, and I looked at it. I was like, wow. This piece right here really speaks to me because it was about cutting the cost of government, zeroing out the state income tax.
Yeah.
And And I
they
texted,
know what your stand is on
Yeah,
those issues.
yes. And I was like, wow, okay, now this is cool. This is cool. This speaks to me and I get it. So some of it can work, but it's really getting tough to talk to through all the noise to get to the voter and give them information they can make better decisions around.
All right, let's take a break. It's 7:22. We're a little bit late on the first break.
Weather. There's a slight chance of some sunshine today, but mainly it's going to be a cloudy day. 77 for the high, down to 53 with clouds tonight, and then a pretty good shot at rain tomorrow and a high of 78.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
It's what we were taught, trained, and told to do.
It could be for anything. Helping a friend move.
Listening to a fellow veteran for hours, at any hour of the day.
Or just simply making time for people. A neighbor, a loved one, or even a stranger.
We're often the first to help others. There's no question about it.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When was the last time you reached out for help?
Perhaps it's time to do for yourself what you would do for others.
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Don't miss out on the latest news. Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. You can watch the show right now. The Dave Elswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1 The Answer.
Okay, so I don't know if this was this morning or if it's tomorrow morning. But there's a total eclipse of the moon.
It was this morning.
Was it this morning?
I didn't get to see it.
6:05 this morning. Total eclipse of the moon. Circle March the 8th on your calendar because Venus and Saturn will share the sky that day side by side. It's a conjunction of those two planets, so you can see that. You know, you're getting your kids up for school. Step them outside and just and point it out to them.
I so wanted to see that this morning.
I didn't realize that it was this morning. I thought it was tomorrow.
No, it was this morning. I overslept this morning too.
Okay.
I didn't get to see it.
Well, you were tired. You've been staying up late or something?
Last night I did.
What were you doing?
Getting some info.
On what?
Stuff.
Stuff.
Stuff
Okay.
I will discuss with you off air.
Okay. Got to find out what she's up to. Anyway, I watched a little bit of the coverage of what's going on in Iran, and a lot of people don't realize that what the president is doing with Iran has a lot to do with what we're trying to do with China as well.
Yeah, we're kind of cut that. I mean, we're
cutting
literally
their
tossing
oil.
a stone and hitting two things with it.
Yeah, we're cutting their oil off.
Yeah.
All that Iranian oil that's not getting over there, and they're getting at bargain rates. They're not getting any of that oil at all.
Well, and people are freaking, oh, the gas has gone up 30 cents. Well, the strait's closed right now.
Yeah.
So none of the oil can get through. Okay. That will subside. But y'all didn't complain when it was $3.75
Yeah.
under Biden.
Just because it was a president's.
Isn't it hilarious how all these liberals, they're like, oh, the groceries are so high. I'm like, but whenever 2 years ago when I said groceries are ridiculous, oh, they're fine. I'm not having any. They're not more expensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing that I originally said. If you Groucho Marx, if you don't like my principles, don't worry, I have others. Because now I see these crazy arguments to where it's like the left, who's been like, oh, pro tariff, is now like anti tariff, and then you have like
they're gaslighting.
Yeah, just it's. So there's where the frustration comes for the average American voter. They're like, who in the world do I trust? Because all of a sudden things will just shift because there's more of an emphasis on being on the winning team.
You trust the people that aren't saying it just because they hate somebody.
Yeah. And, you know, George Carlin did a great job back in the day when he said, listen, so you take your political ideology, I'm paraphrasing him, but he said, you take your political ideology and your thoughts and you make it part of you. He's like, congratulations, you just messed yourself up.
Right.
Because now, instead of talking about ideas, we're talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not able to vet ideas holistically because, or in any real useful manner, because now you're going to get your feelings hurt, or I'm going to get my feelings hurt every time that we talk about this.
But that's how people decide based on their own experiences, their life experiences. Carlin wasn't wrong on that.
Yeah, well,
he's my son.
Oh,
my son looks up to Carlin.
No, Carlin's great.
Oh, yeah.
But the point being is that how do you talk to people to where sometimes the ideas that they have need to be vetted, need to be discussed. We need to add more to them. The more voices in the policy process particularly are needed, because you can't have one policy that really solves everyone's problems. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, you're always going to make somebody upset.
Right. So you need as much, well, it's not just upset. Sometimes there's things that are left out that are critical.
Right.
For example, this was, I don't want to harsh on too much, but Mississippi went to pass a zeroing out their income tax, and they made a mistake in a piece of legislation by changing a decimal. Somebody didn't catch the decimal issue. And so it caused them to where they had to go back and try to fix this. Well, the point being is that you need multiple eyes to vet. How does this policy fit?
Check, and double check.
Yeah. And so you need more voices in here. However, we're moving to this position to where people are just, and this is G.K. Chesterton. I'm throwing all kinds of quotes out this morning. He said, democracies die from exhaustion because people get so tired of trying to take in information, make good decisions for themselves, that they then just give up their autonomy to a strong man to tell them what to do.
That's true.
While you consider what Chesterton said, listen to this here on the Dave Elswick Show on 1011.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, hey, Bill O'Reilly here, stuck in a timeshare you don't want? Lone Star Transfer can help. With an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau, thousands of 5-star reviews, they are the only ones I trust. They will provide you with a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. Please call Lone Star Transfer, 844-284-4861, or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Tuesday, I don't know why anybody was surprised that on Saturday morning, the United States and Israel hit Iran. President Trump had signaled for weeks that he expected the mullahs to sign an agreement that they would stop their nuclear weapons research and downgrade their ballistic missile capacity. The mullahs refused. So the president carried out his threat. We can do it the easy way, that would be an agreement, or the hard way, military action. Now, the chief mullah, the Ayatollah, was killed. It's almost like Maduro in Venezuela. Trump gave him an opportunity to leave that country with a lot of money. Maduro said no, and now he'll never see freedom again. And the Ayatollah, I assume, is conferring with Allah as we speak. Now, you can debate the worthiness of the Iranian action all you want. Opinions should be respected. But I noticed Kamala Harris condemned the military action. And this is a woman who was vice president during an administration that actually gave Iran billions of unfrozen dollars. And Iran turned around and financed terrorism with it. Ms. Harris got some explaining to do. Back in a moment. More Americans are switching to all-family pharmacy because getting medication should not depend on your insurance company telling you no. If you already know what works for you and want real medical freedom, you have to choose the right pharmacy. All Family Pharmacy handles everything, including the doctor's prescription, ships right to your door. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill, use code BILL10, save 10% on your next order.
That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
Tom Cotton served in uniform and fought in combat. Now he fights for Arkansas's conservative values in the Senate. President Trump and Governor Sanders endorsed Tom Cotton because he's a trusted conservative. And now he's fighting to put Arkansas and America first. Cotton has a 100% conservative voting record. He fights for lower prices and to deport illegal aliens. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
I fought for our country. In Arkansas, you trusted me to fight for you. Working with President Trump, we've secured the border, rebuilt our military, and passed the biggest middle-class tax cut in history. I'm fighting to lower your costs and get you a bigger paycheck. And I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump and Governor Sanders. I'm asking for your vote so we can keep fighting for Arkansas together. I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Paid for by Cotton for Senate.
Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1, The Answer.
Hey, don't forget, today is Election Day. If you haven't gotten out and voted, please do it today. Sneak away for lunch or whatever and go get in line and cast your ballot. It's important. It's always important to say who you think should be in certain positions. It's your time today. This is where the people speak, not the politicians, not the push cards,
Not the illegals.
not all those people. The people that are speaking today are citizens, and that's an important honor that you have. I think it's an honor to vote. I don't think it's a requirement. I think it's an honor.
Yeah.
I really do. I feel honored to be able to go in and cast my vote. And who am I voting for? I ain't going to tell you. You know, we've been talking to them. We've had them in the studio. You've listened to them, and you need to do what you need to do now, and that's go stand in line, show your ID, and then go and vote.
You know, that's one of the things that when I was at Arkansas State University, of course, that was 20 years ago also, but I had professors who would not tell me who they were voting for. Like they would tell me it was my decision to make. And I was the liberal at the time.
Yeah.
It was conservative at ASU back then.
Uh-huh.
I was the one that they were like, fighting in class with them, you know. They used to call me little young Hillary. And, you know, then I realized nothing's free when I got a real job. And,
Right.
you know, everything comes out of my check for this free stuff.
That there's no money trees in back.
Yeah. We have to, you have to experience that to learn it. And I think that's why young people who don't have actual jobs, because like when you get over that, there's a certain amount where you get over, and, you know, when you're working the restaurant jobs, you don't make enough for them to take like they do when you get into an actual job where you're making over $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's when you start noticing, hey, they're taking enough for rent a month out of my check. Like, what the heck, you know? And that's when you start noticing that. So I think that is the point at which people start realizing that's not free. That's not free. Working at Starbucks ain't gonna
remind you
ain't gonna happen.
what Churchill said. Churchill said that if you're under 30 and you're not a liberal, you don't have a heart. But if you're over 30 and you're not a conservative, you don't have a brain.
That's when it shifted for me in my 30s.
It's
But I went to school late, had kids and all that.
People when they're in their 30s typically start paying a little bit of attention.
Well,
because they're paying a little bit more money.
So my trajectory was a little different. I started actually pretty early. In fact, the other day I was going through some old memory boxes that I had, and I had an award from 8th grade, and I had the Rush Limbaugh Super Conservative Award that I won in 8th grade.
In 8th grade?
Because I was campaigning in 8th grade against Bill Clinton at the time. And
I voted for Bill Clinton.
So I had a little different trajectory, but I remember that my political memories for me started with the landslide with Reagan. And I was like, Mom, why are you guys excited about a landslide? What in the world even is that?
Right.
Mom explained to him, I was like, oh, okay. So there was that political memory. And then seen Reagan fly off in Marine One, I remember sitting there and we were in school watching it, and I was impacted by that. And then it was probably around 5th grade or so that I started listening to Rush Limbaugh, and I came across, I have Limbaugh cassette tapes from his book. I have his book. I have 2 If by Tea bottles. I've got all kinds of memorabilia.
See, that's crazy because
hold on to it.
When I was 12, I didn't know what a Democrat or Republican was, but I rode my bike up to see Nancy Reagan.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that people that are in this sphere where we're at, you either been there your whole life and you never really put it all together until you get older and you're like, man, I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
But I think, and then there's other people out here just la 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 la. They just don't know anything.
Well, there's that. And people are just giving up because there's a lot, like, who do I trust? Who do I turn to? Like, I follow a lot of things on social media, and I see people that I respect, that I know, that are retweeting things, and I'm like, man, that's AI, bud.
Right.
That's not real.
I put tests out for folks.
Yeah, it's just don't, you got to be, the point being, you got to be cautious
Media
about where you're
literacy.
getting your information from. So truth and truthful information is at a premium, but no one knows who to trust to get it.
Do you
anymore.
cringe when you see people do that? You're like, no, that's AI. No, it's not real info.
Yeah.
It's sad though that even people that we look up to don't know sometimes the difference.
The rule of thumb that I used to have was believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear, and now it's the fractions are even less than that.
Right. What do you think, Dave?
Well, I look at the material that's being passed out, that you look at it and you want to know whether it's true or it's false. Is this the only place you've seen this?
Right.
That's what I look at. If I can't find, 3 or 4 backups for the information, I don't pass it on.
Well, that's like that photo of Epstein and Hillary.
Yeah.
And Stephen Hawking's. Everyone's sharing that. I'm like that. I don't think that's real, but that's not a real photo.
Well, you at that point,
I won't share
you can
it.
make a copy of it and you can ask AI
Yeah,
now.
I did. That's what I did.
Is that real or is that false?
Yeah,
And
you reverse it.
It came back, it's false.
Yeah, that's what I did. And then I because you can't just post something because you want it to be anymore.
Well, if you want to be a girl, you can be. I mean, you know what I'm saying? This is the culture we live in now.
It's laziness.
Just because you believe it doesn't make it so.
Right.
I've
Just
said
because
that
you
a
see
million
it, like
times.
Ryan said, just because you see it doesn't make it so anymore.
Just you got to really think through things. So that's where we're coming in. So how do you navigate this?
Critical thinking.
Yes. And so critical thinking, you have to first understand what your values are and what your principles are. And if you don't have them, you're just going to be the ping pong ball that they're batting around in this environment.
We need to work on my bill that I have crafted last year and then I got sidetracked. But I have a media literacy bill that we need to put.
Yeah, have that and have whoever you want to run it ready to go next year.
Yeah.
Because that's something that will be taken up in the general assembly.
We have to. Our country depends on it. Our state depends on it. But sometimes people want people to be media illiterate on both sides.
No,
and that's sad.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can people are easier to control when they're
Exactly.
scared, when they're and that's where you see the messaging going, is that people will only usually move from a position out of fear of some sort, or fear of loss of some sort. But this is really counterproductive to a nation that was founded on aspirational things like prosperity and the American dream and having a vision of a better future. Going into survival mode in the present is not helpful, politically speaking, is not helpful
Safety mode.
for trying to improve the future of the country, in my mind.
Yeah.
People want aspirational things, and it wins at times. Like, I would say that the Obama administration did a great job of just running on total aspirational, be like, vote for us and you'll feel a lot better about yourself. And people did. They came out and they
that
voted
was
for him.
And gaslighting people.
That drove me nuts during the Obama race, because he made himself a blackboard with nothing on it, and you wrote what you believed on that
fill in the
blackboard,
blank.
and you said that's the way he
You
is.
know, the part of him that made me the maddest, this is what made me the maddest as a woman, when he was talking about, I get out of my car and the women are in the elevator and the white woman clutches her purse. Buddy, I clutch my purse when anybody gets in the elevator with me. I don't know, black, white, Asian, green, purple. I don't care. I don't trust anybody. So you can't say that I clutched my purse because you were black.
Mm-hmm.
That really bothered me. Because we didn't have race. You're racist. You're racist. You're racist until Obama.
I didn't know that you shared an elevator with him.
No, you know what I mean.
Okay.
Anybody that I get in the elevator with, besides you two.
Those type of ads go back. I mean,
Dave.
look, when Bush ran against Clinton, or I take it back, against Dukakis, it was the Willie Horton ad. Everybody remembers Willie Horton,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't come out and say, black people are criminals,
Right.
but it alluded to it very strongly, as far as showing, Willie Horton coming out of a prison and things of that nature. You don't have to come right out and say something. You can imply it heavily.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
I think that's what we're talking about with, what we're seeing in some of these communications.
Yeah, push pieces for sure.
You're seeing that. And so you have to, as a voter, I say this often, democracy, constitutional republics, but the way we go about voting is democratic. It's for adults. Freedom's for adults. And we have, and what I mean by that is you have to be able to have the emotional regulation to filter through the junk to get to the meat of the matter and what you're going to make your decisions on. I mean, my wife and I had some conversations around the table, like, how are we going to vote in this race, or how are we going to vote in that race? Like, what are we really looking for? And of course, given what I work in on as a career, that's not necessarily average or normal per se,
Right.
but because some folks are just, I've knocked a lot of doors where folks are just like, I'm not voting this go around. I'm just, I'm not
and
I don't vote in primaries, or I don't vote.
Which is crazy to me. Why wouldn't you want to select your candidate?
Yeah, you're letting other people select the candidate that you may vote for in November.
Doesn't make any sense to me. So go vote, people. Go vote today.
Yeah, we need voter turnout. Yes.
Yeah, talking about misleading advertisements, I can take you all the way back to Johnson and Goldwater.
Ooh.
All right.
Goldwater.
And do you remember? Well, you guys don't remember.
I know.
I don't think you both were mad gleams in your daddy's eyes.
Yeah, but I know about it.
Okay, so you know about Bill Moyer and how he put together the ad that when it showed Barry Goldwater and they had the atomic cloud behind him and the whole 9 yards because of what Curtis LeMay had said. But they were scaring people. We'll have a nuclear war if you put Goldwater in, and it worked because Goldwater got, spanked really hard. There were people who said that the Republican Party was through at that point, that nobody would vote for a Republican after the drubbing they took then. And then you come back, about 20 years later, and Reagan beat Mondale and got all the electoral votes except for Minnesota. And what people were saying was the Democrats are through.
Yeah.
All parties come back. It may take longer
Unless you're the Whig
than other
party.
times, as far as all that's
Bull
concerned.
moose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the Bull Moose Party. I would have voted for TR.
Yeah, and
would you have
some
voted for
things-
TR?
Possibly. I mean, he was a force of nature. I tell you what. There's pro things, your Food and Drug Administration,
Right.
courtesy of him, and we all see how that goes.
Yeah.
But it, back in the day, it seemed like a good idea. I understand, but so many government programs and agencies did start off as good ideas, and then later on,
They got
That's it.
corrupt.
I had a friend.
The road to hell is built on
Good
intentions.
Yeah. Well, I talked to a friend the other day. I'm like, if you guys are so good at the Food and Drug Administration with the, administering of these drugs, why is it that nearly every drug you guys approve at some point will get recalled?
Yeah. Or if you have taken this drug and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. I'm just like, and it's like, okay, this is going to solve this problem
Lawsuit.
with itchy skin, but you're going to die.
And you're going to have that word I had, blank seepage.
Oh, no, that's great.
That's the worst. I'm like, I would never take that.
The one that I hate is that you're going to have problems with your change.
But I wasn't going to say the A word, but
You say
like, what are
change.
you going to do to that?
I mean,
what kind of drug is this? It's for a headache or something.
Yeah, and that's true. It's for migraine. You're going to have more than a migraine.
Oh my gosh, Dave! People are going to spit their coffee out driving today.
It's 12 minutes till 8, but yeah,
You never know what we're going to talk about.
It's all over the place.
it's just.
It's like,
I mean, look, when you get to the end of those commercials on television, you don't want to take the drug
No.
after you hear how many things can kill you.
And if you're taking it, you're like, why did I read that handout?
Here's my favorite disclaimer. Don't take this drug if you're allergic to it.
Right? How do I know unless I take it?
Exactly.
Stupid.
Yeah, it is. It's stupid. It really is. It's dumb. Anyway, this is the stuff that people expect from my show.
Yeah.
We pick out and get on the fallacies. Okay, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from Ryan about the Road to Zero. And if you don't know what that is, stick around. We're going to tell you. And there's some new things to talk about. So we'll do that here on the Dave Elswick Show.
We had a great vacation, but then we came back home, and after a few days, we found bed bugs or hitchhikers. We're pretty sure they joined us during our travels. That's not the souvenir we wanted, but thanks to the Bug Man, we're better now. We just wish we'd called them sooner because, unfortunately, they had spread from room to room.
Call the Bugman at 663-9464 or go to bugman.com and check out their coupons. No contracts required. The Bugman has been serving our community for 45 years. Call 663-9464.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
If you're a local business and ready for the next step, Google Salem Surround Little Rock today. Our experts are ready to help you take your marketing to the next level.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted. You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on the dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Concerned about market risk? I'm Ference Toth, host of the Your Personal Bank Show. The S&P 500 valuations are higher than at any time ever recorded in stock market history. This includes 1929 and 1999. Annuities and Your Personal Bank offer unlimited upside with no downside risk. Tune in to the Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. or contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. The Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 101.1 The Answer.
Now back to the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1 The Answer.
All right, we got 7 minutes until 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. We're just at the beginning of the week still. Tomorrow we'll celebrate that we're halfway to Friday on, middle of the weekday. And we should have Congressman Hill on and Congressman Westerman on. And I want to have them both on because, they've been at different meetings with different people like Rubio and others who have been telling them about how the military action over in Iran is going. And I'm sure they can share with us some of that. Not all of it. Some of it was top secret and it can't be shared with us. But keep in mind that big things are happening right now. This is more than just about Iran, just as Venezuela was more than Venezuela. This is about the Chinese, and it's about the Russians, and it's about national security, and it's something to keep in mind. Now, I told you I was going to ask Ryan a question and have him answer it. He's got a few moments to do that. The road to zero income tax has some new information to impart to us.
Well, it's just part of it is the momentum is growing. We now have 34 lawmakers who have signed up to support the concept of pathway to zero.
It is crazy that there's not more signed up for this.
Well, this goes back to there's a lot of conversation to be had about as to why not. But some of it is just that folks were waiting to see what is the mind of the governor. Well, last week the governor sent out an X post talking about her wanting to prioritize phasing out the state income tax. We are 100% in support of the governor's approach on this and supporting that, and we are helping to elevate the conversation among the citizens, but also to help communicate to lawmakers that this is a priority among their constituents.
Well, I'm glad that the governor is behind that. I've known that all along.
Yeah.
She's made that one of her main running points, but it's not like she's the supreme leader.
Yeah. Well, there's that, but there's a lot of deference to either the governor's leadership or to the leadership of the chambers. But there are those who are signing up and saying, hey, we're in, particularly the factions is the wrong way of putting it. But, the lawmakers in Northwest Arkansas have really stepped up. They understand that as the demographics of Northwest Arkansas changes, a lot of people are moving here for economic opportunity. They may be different on other issues, social issues, or issues around, regulatory issues. But the one thing they do understand is I do need more money in my pocket.
I want my money.
I want my money. I'm going to earn it. I should be able to keep it.
That's
and we
exactly
agree.
right.
And so that's an issue that I think is very important for, even the midterms coming up. We're going to see today how things kind of shake out in certain bellwether, districts. House District 70 is one of those that, that could flip. And so the question is that if it does flip, then what does that mean? And then you're seeing even, I have friends in Texas and they're saying the same thing. They're like, hey, we had a long-standing red state Senate district. It's now flipped blue. And well, why is that? Well, the bread and butter economic message and the policies that support that message, we haven't focused on those. And we've been fighting other fights, political fights that we thought were important, but people are voting their pocketbooks.
Please do not fall for the erroneous argument that we're going to make it so that the rich pay all these income taxes and you're not going to pay anything.
Well,
it's just ridiculous that you would even believe that.
Well,
but
under the pathway to zero concepts, what is being talked about, and we're having great conversations with leaders in this state, particularly with the governor's office, about what are the components that should make this up. And in it, no one who would be under the top marginal rate would pay any more. In fact, some would pay nothing or less.
That's great.
And then you start walking that down over time in a responsible manner. And you take the criteria that we've been using for the last 10 and a half years, and we've tested it for 10 and a half years, 10 and a half, actually probably about 10 to 13 years, my bad. And you put that into policy. So now you take it out of the hands of just leaving it up to lawmakers, and you say, hey, great ideas. You test them. Let's make that the policy.
Yep.
And let's start walking it down. Now, why should we do that? It gives you certainty. It says that as we are growing our economy and we have the revenue surpluses and we know the projections are going to be there, that we can then with confidence say it's time to cut. And so that is more and more people are understanding the wisdom of that. Business is very appreciative of going like, yeah, if we're waiting on when the lawmakers feel like a cut to give us a cut, I can't plan around that. I don't understand what the future is going to look like around that. But if you put it into policy, and I know that the better I do for Arkansas, the more, the better Arkansas does for me with letting me keep more of my tax money, that's a positive.
I have put up the full stop sign. We will be back with more here on the Dave Elswick Show after the news. Brian's with me until 9 o'clock. And I don't think, do we have any other guests today? Because I usually don't take any political guests in on Election Day. If you haven't got to me before now, I'm not going to be listening to you anyway. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Iran has expanded its targets in its showdown with the U.S. and Israel. It struck the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia today as Washington pulls many of its staffers out of the Mideast. President Trump says Iran has been a nexus of terrorism for a long, long time.
He made the case over the course of several decades, going all the way back to 1983, talking about various terrorist proxies that have been supported by Iran to basically say that this country is a bad actor, and as a result, these attacks are justified. Trump called this a noble mission.
And that's correspondent Josh Boak. The Mideast conflict is wreaking havoc with air travel across the region. James Castle caught a flight out of the United Arab Emirates.
Over the weekends, just really stressful, really tense. Witnessing sort of missiles exploding above. We witnessed the port, a warehouse at the port go up in flames.
He spoke with Sky News. A federal court is refusing to cut the Trump administration any slack when it comes to refunding money collected through tariffs.
The Justice Department wanted to slow the process of refunding billions of dollars worth of tariffs, but a federal court refused, sending it to a lower court to sort out. The legal activity follows last month's Supreme Court ruling that struck down the tariffs as illegal, clearing the way for the importers who paid them to seek refunds. However, the High Court offered no guidance on refunds. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Gas prices are on the rise. AAA's national average as of this morning, $3.11 for a gallon of regular, and that's up 11 cents since yesterday. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 873 points. NASDAQ futures off 552. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The following is a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I had a lot of credit card debt and it stressed me out. But what I thought was a solution turned out to be a problem. I kept hearing ads about debt settlement that seemed too good to be true. And actually, it was. When I called, they told me to stop paying my bills. That didn't sound right to me at all, so I hung up. Later, I found out that debt settlement is bad, real bad. Then I learned that there is a right way to pay off your credit cards. It's called a debt management program from the great team at Trinity. Trinity had a plan. In the end, I paid off my bills, I saved thousands, and I even improved my credit score.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Heather. Please forget debt settlement and remember Trinity Debt Management.
1-800-990-6976.
The Mideast conflict has effectively closed a strategic waterway, resulting in higher energy prices.
Traffic has come to a virtual standstill in the Strait of Hormuz. They've already seen a handful of attacks on oil tankers as well, so no shipping company in their right mind would want to send their cargo across that narrow passageway, and it is a very critical juncture. About a fifth of all of the world's oil supply goes through the Strait of Hormuz. It leaves the big Middle East and oil producers, and it comes out to Asia, to places like China, South Korea, Japan. Natural gas as well comes from places like Qatar. So it really, really is an important choke point.
The BBC's Nick Marsh. Minnesota suing President Trump's administration in an attempt to stop it from withholding $243 million in Medicaid spending. A lawsuit filed this week asking a U.S. court in Minneapolis to issue a temporary restraining order blocking the withholding of Medicaid funds. Townhall.com. More and more people have been turning to artificial intelligence to answer their healthcare questions.
Tech companies are pushing new health chatbots, but experts say you still need to talk to your doctor. AI companies say bots can review health records and app data to explain medical results and trends. Doctors say they can beat a basic Google search if users provide more context. Dr. Robert Wachter with the University of California.
And the alternative often is nothing or the patient winging it. And so I think that if you use these tools responsibly, I think you can get useful information.
But experts warn you should skip AI for emergency symptoms such as chest pain, shortness of breath, or severe headaches. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
President Trump confirms that he does plan to attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner on April 25th, the first time he will be doing so as president. More on these stories, townhall.com.
The news never stops, and neither does your schedule. That's why we're here, keeping you up to date with all the biggest stories of the day. We're 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
We're keeping Arkansas beautiful. Want to lend a hand? Don't be afraid to get them dirty. Every day, volunteers around the state are picking up litter, planting trees and wildflowers, recycling, and more. You know what these volunteers need most? Help. Volunteer today at keeparkansasbeautiful.com. Learn more about all our programs. A message brought to you by the Keep Arkansas Beautiful Commission, this station, and the Arkansas Broadcasters Association.
101.1, The Answer, weather.
There's a slight chance of some sunshine today, but mainly it's going to be a cloudy day. 77 for the high, down to 53 with clouds tonight, and then a pretty good shot at rain tomorrow and a high of 78.
Tom Cotton served in uniform and fought in combat. Now he fights for Arkansas's conservative values in the Senate. President Trump and Governor Sanders endorsed Tom Cotton because he's a trusted conservative. And now he's fighting to put Arkansas and America first. Cotton has a 100% conservative voting record. He fights for lower prices and to deport illegal aliens. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
I fought for our country. In Arkansas, you trusted me to fight for you. Working with President Trump, we've secured the border, rebuilt our military, and pass the biggest middle-class tax cut in history. I'm fighting to lower your costs and get you a bigger paycheck. And I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump and Governor Sanders. I'm asking for your vote so we can keep fighting for Arkansas together. I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Paid for by Cotton for Senate.
Don't miss cutting-edge coverage of daily news from an America First perspective on the Alex Marlow podcast on the Salem Podcast Network.
Everything I'm seeing from the public is that the public does not like the idea of just pure welfare and charity being done for people who are able to work and are not willing to work. So able-bodied people have got to get back to work.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
All right, second hour of the Tuesday edition of the Dave Elswick Show. Thanks for joining us today. Make sure you get out and vote if you haven't voted. As I like to tell all the conservatives, vote now and vote often. As far as liberals go, election is tomorrow. So anyway, it's bottom line is get out and vote. It's all, said tongue in cheek, what I just mentioned to you. I don't want you to cheat. All right. Don't want you to even try to cheat, but because I lived it. All right. I grew up outside of Chicago and I know what it means to, vote and vote often because they did it in Chicago all the time. I was watching a documentary about Vegas last week and it was 6 parts and one whole part of the show was about John F. Kennedy and how he used to come out to Vegas quite a bit, and he was meeting Judith Exeter at the time, and that was his kind of mistress out in Vegas. What he didn't know is that his mistress was also the mistress of Sam Giancana.
Oh yeah,
who was the head crime boss in Chicago.
Yeah,
and that whole Kennedy and story and the government story of trying to use the mob to get rid of Castro is an interesting story, to say the least.
Yeah, interesting period of history.
We played a part of it right here in Arkansas. You may not know this, but the AM station that used to be the rock station here that you used to listen to Clive Clifford on and all of those shows that you like to partake was a 50,000 watt clear channel station. At night, it meant anybody that was under 50 grand had to get out of the way. And that station at full power reaches Cuba. And John F. Kennedy was supposed to give a speech on that station about the Bay of Pigs and that they were taking Cuba over from Castro. And guess what? He decided against it.
Yeah.
So, but Kennedy came to that radio station here in Little Rock.
Never knew that.
Testing it out. Yep.
Very interesting.
Yeah. History is an interesting animal, to say the least, but it's something to consider what was going on during that time. I mean, look, that was Khrushchev trying to put missiles within about 80 miles of the American coastline.
Yeah. And
to
had
say
to shut that down.
To say that the pucker power was pretty strong. Yeah, it was for the whole world.
It was
got
close.
to be really, it got really
close to
close.
nuclear
Yeah.
war.
Yeah, it did. Because Khrushchev was going to take them out. And we were talking about, incinerating them on the island of Cuba, which would have probably led to a nuclear exchange.
Oh yeah, definitely. But things have changed, but things also still stay the same in some regards when you look at the present versus history.
Yes, or
Compare it.
Sunday when I watched the UN meeting, the meetings that they had about the attacks on Iran and all of that, I was expecting the Iranian ambassador or representative there on the UN in the UN chamber to suddenly take his shoe off and start beating on the table. I mean, that's what Khrushchev did.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen the video of that.
We will bury you. That's what he said at that time. Didn't work out for him so much.
Not for him. No.
No. Not working out so good for Putin either.
No, not so much. Yeah, times definitely change, but I remember back in the day when a military action almost immediately sobered up the political conversations. Everybody was like, hey, no matter what your thoughts are, we got to support the military 100%. And now
support the president.
Yeah, and support the president, no matter what you thought. And your political leanings were. We united to have a united front for our military men and women. And now I don't see that quite as much anymore.
Well,
Dave.
you know what? I'd like to know what the people who are against what the president did. What would you do with Iran?
Well, that's a fair question to ask them because everything else has been tried up until this point.
Yeah.
And
we've even tried to pay them off.
Years, nearly 50 years. And so, there's this, they're just, you need to understand one of the questions that you should ask. I say this to folks who are coming into supervisory positions within our organization. I'll say, hey, the first question you need to ask is, what's going on with our team and why are we here? Are there decisions that were made previously that, if I walk in, it may not make sense to me, but understanding the history of it, it now makes sense to me. Okay, of course we want to keep this process the way that it is because you guys solved the problems ahead of time or tested something out ahead of time. So the point on that is that, I've been around since 1979 and paying attention to, not since 1979, in terms of politically engagement, but that's when I was born. But I know this has been an issue. Iran has been an issue
since
ever
the day
since
you
I
were
was born.
That's right.
Yes. And so there has been no resolution and the attempt to appease them has not worked. It's just, this is where we're at. And I am for all peaceful means of trying to deal with our adversaries abroad. I'm not a warmongering kind of person at all, but I do know that right now thoughts and prayers need to be with our military. We're already, we have some casualties now, and any loss of life at all is tragic. And with our military, I think exceptionally so because they volunteered to put their life on the line for American security. Yep. And so at minimum, we should all be empathetic towards those members of the military and their families during this time. We need to keep our prayers and going up for their safety and protection, and that there is a peaceful resolution quickly to this, because it could spiral into terrible, terrible things if it gets out of control. So that's my 2 cents on that. But you want to talk some more taxes, Dave?
Yeah.
So
let's bring it up because that's what you all are
really focused in on this, supportive of the governor's prioritization of phasing out the state income tax. I think that it is one of the best economic development pieces that you could possibly pass because it is, one, allowing people to keep what they earn. They then spend that in their communities and in this state, and that helps to grow our economy. The more money they have to buy goods and services, the more needs to be manufactured, the more people need to be hired to provide the services, and that's just a positive thing. Additionally, it allows businesses that would realize some additional savings because of tax liability going down to zero, the ability to expand, buy new equipment, open up a new shop or a new a new restaurant, whatever it is that they do. They can open up another location. It attracts business from out of the state to say, hey, you know what? If I go here to this state, my people make the same amount of money, but they don't realize as much when they have their net, take home pay. But if I go to Arkansas and they're phasing out the income tax, I know they're going to keep what they make, and it's effectively a pay raise for the worker because they're not paying that in. So I think this is very, very positive piece of legislation that all conservatives should be able to get around and behind. Now, another thing about this too is there's like, well, what about the state, or what about the property taxes? The state does not have a property tax. Those are at your local level. Those are your school districts, your counties. That's where you're paying that tax.
Yeah, that's going to be your city council or your county quorum court making those decisions.
Yeah. And yes, those are making those decisions. And in general, you get to vote on those. So you need to stay diligent about it.
Oh, yeah.
Just over in Maumelle, our little town of Maumelle, I think there were $34 million, worth of proposed tax, either extensions or increases to pay for all kinds of, there's like 8 tax issues to vote on. So if, you may not be keen on going out and voting today because of the politics, but you need to go and vote because of the policies that are on those ballots too, that will increase your tax liability and your cost of living. Some of these are sales taxes. Some of these are property taxes. You need to go have your voice heard on that because that does directly impact your wallet.
That's exactly right.
So, but again, going back to the point that I was originally making, the state does not have a state income tax or a state's property tax. And so that's something that that to take off the table. We would never support something like that either. There are no tax swaps. We've talked about that. You know, Dave, there's ways of that the state collects money through, particularly through our sales taxes, that could help us over time. And then if you have business come in and business helps with that growth, the more population, the more spending, the more investment, that increases the revenue surpluses, and then we can start cutting in a responsible manner. 34 lawmakers have signed on to this concept, and the concept is simple. Do you support phasing out the state income tax via policy? And 34 of them said yes. So that's about 25% roughly, I think, of our lawmakers working on some more. The question has come up, why pass it as policy versus just letting the lawmakers do it? They've done a great job. We're not taking anything away from them on that. However, if you want the ability of attracting business into the state, you have to set up the framework by which business can plan because of consistency in the tax policy. And so that's what we're asking for, is make this a policy that people and business can plan around, and we can be guaranteed that, hey, the more we help each other out with our economy, exchanging goods and services and growing our businesses and supporting our employees and making this a great environment for business, the more surplus will be realized by our state government, and then that will trigger that tax decrease. It's roughly about $50 million is a tenth of a point. So every 50 million we should be able to cut.
And pay attention to what he just said. Each percentage point is like $50 million.
Each tenth. So
or tenth, sorry.
So we're at 3.9 right now. Governor Sanders has walked this down to 3.9. If we wanted to go to 3.8, we need about $50 million in surplus to absorb that. And that's on an annual basis. So you don't just say one-time cuts, because there's those who say, well, why don't we take the surpluses that we have and use those and just cut it all the way down as far as we can do it. Well, that's your savings account for when the economy takes downturns. And that could be at any time. Who knows how things are going to work out with current events now and what that impact's going to be to the Arkansas economy. Have that savings secured. Then put in place the policies that help drive economic growth. Look at regulatory reforms, look at, again, tax reforms, et cetera, that allow growth to happen. And then the dollars will follow that, because people are going to start having more economic transactions. They're going to grow their business. They're going to move their business. And then again, that helps us realize those surpluses that lead to the cuts.
Okay, we're going to talk more about this when we come back, but we got to get our first break in this hour, taking care of him. We'll do it right now at 8:21. It's the Dave Elswick Show, 101.1 The Answer.
Or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
I'm Ference Toth, host of the Your Personal Bank Show. I use common sense as an entrepreneur, financial literacy educator, and speaker to understand how current events affect our money, our economy, and our freedom. Grow your money safely, reduce taxes, increase returns, and create positive arbitrage with Your Personal Bank. Tune in to the Your Personal Bank Show, Saturdays at 1 p.m. or contact Ference at yourpersonalbank.com. The Your Personal Bank Show, Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 101.1 The Answer.
The Dave Elswick Show is back. 101.1 The Answer.
All right, back with you. Okay, so our the big boys, you know, the Senate Majority Leader, the Speaker of the House, people like that, are they getting behind this tax cut?
I believe that they are. They haven't signed on with the idea of AFP's pathway to zero. I've heard that the Senate is working on a tax package. So excited to hear what that's going to be about. But today again we'll be telling about what was voter turnout during this primary, who won, who lost, what messages resonated, which didn't, and the message that we're hearing the most, that voters are concerned about the most, is affordability. And government can do nothing better for affordability, in my mind, than letting us keep what we earn. And so this should be a top priority piece, not just playing around and cutting off 1/10 of a point. That's fine. But the impact on that, I'll feel a little bit of that. You'll feel a little bit of that. But if we say we're going to cut taxes and put us on a pathway to zero, I can get excited, really excited about that. And I think voters can too. So it's important that we listen to the struggles that people have, not just fomenting fear, but saying, what are you struggling with? What do you need access to? Okay, well, I need more money. Well, what if we cut your taxes down to zero? Yeah, that would help. What do you need? I need more healthcare access. Well, what if we made it to where clinics and hospitals could more easily, be built in the state? Yeah, let's pass policy around that. There's so many things that we could do, but start with listening to your constituents. What do they need? They need access to affordable healthcare, affordable housing, to more money in their pocket, less government overreach in their lives. Very simple. And Dave, this week we have Joey Bishop Henchman, the executive vice president for the National Taxpayers Union. He is coming into the state here in Arkansas. We have some meetings and things set up for him, but he's also going to be with me in Fort Smith, and we're having an event there around Pathway to Zero, talking to constituents and community leaders about this concept and building that momentum for, to show, hey, look, lawmakers, this is a top priority. We've had multiple events now. We've got a video coming out soon I'm really excited about. In fact, I think it could be this week, where we recorded our presentation in Searcy with Representative Les Eves, who has been doing just great work in kind of leading this issue. And it was Representative Les Eves, Patrick Fleener from Americans for Prosperity, who you had on,
here, yeah.
and then Dr. Richard Evans from the Abundance Institute, who you also had on. So that conversation, we're currently having the video professionally edited so that it looks good, sounds good, and we'll have that out on the website soon. And you can hear the conversation from a state representative who's leading on the issue and from these gentlemen that work on the issue across the United States, and hear what are the barriers, what are the obstacles, where's the friction in these policies, how do you overcome those to the good of the people. But at the end of the day, when you tell people, as you're doing your taxes, look how much you're paying to the state. Wouldn't it be cool if that was zero? And what could you do with that money?
Okay, we got a couple of minutes left. What are some misunderstandings that people have about cutting the income tax?
I think that there's just one of the misunderstandings is that if you cut the income tax, that there won't be revenues for state government. That's not true. There are states that have other ways of collecting that money, and you do it through prosperity, building prosperity out. There are already fees and things that business pays. There's corporate taxes here in the state of Arkansas. So there's that you can have a zero individual income tax and still fund your government. Two is that they're concerned that we would bankrupt our government, kind of the same side of it. Don't go the way of Kansas. Well, if you are cutting the size and scope and cost of Arkansas government, which is, again, I have seen as a focus of Governor Sanders' administration, then you're already taking care of two components. You're getting the core of government responsibilities funded.
Right.
You're taking the extraneous out. You're putting that money towards that savings towards tax cuts, and letting people put that money in their pocket.
Isn't the main thing that needs to be done, you talked about listening, is to have hearings so that everybody can come in and question these different organizations within the branches of government to make sure that they're spending the money wisely.
Yeah. And there's transparency. And I've had conversations with high level members of our government who are saying that we want to be the watchdog within our own departments to make sure that every dollar is going where it's supposed to go and no dollars going where it's not supposed to go, that it's all accounted for, that the taxpayers that are getting what they deserve out of that function of government, but that we're not wasting anything. And there's some interesting conversations to be had in the future, driven by our governor, by the way, I would say, that I think you'll be excited to hear about.
All right, let's get to the news and then we'll be back.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. As American and Israeli airstrikes continue to pummel Iran, the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia's capital has been the target of an Iranian drone strike. The embassy was not occupied at the time. Some congressional Democrats say the attack on Iran is unwarranted because they say the Islamic Republic posed no imminent threat to the U.S. Secretary of State Rubio says nothing could be further from the truth. U.S. Central Command says 6 American soldiers died in an Iranian strike on a logistics unit in Kuwait. The Iranian Red Crescent reports at least 787 people in Iran have been killed. President Trump says the United States can keep the military campaign going longer than the planned 4 to 5 week time frame that he issued earlier. On Wall Street, stocks opening sharply lower this morning. More details, srnnews.com.
Is your Jesus shaped more by culture than by scripture? In our instant world, we've made Jesus into a life coach, a therapist, a political ally. The Missing Messiah, a new book by Kyle Idleman and Mark Moore, helps us understand how Western culture has gradually reshaped Jesus into our image and recognize the difference between a personalized savior and a revolutionary king. If you believe there's a more dangerous, more majestic Messiah than the one you've inherited, visit missingmessiah.com to learn more.
Progressive knows that boat days can come with unexpected problems.
Oh no, I dropped my lip balm in the water. I can't think of anything worse than the looming threat of potentially having chapped lips. It was ginger vanilla too, my favorite flavor.
If a real problem comes along, your boat's protected 24/7 with Progressive, so you can keep worrying about boater problems. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates, not available in D.C.
In his new movie, The Dragon's Prophecy, Dinesh D'Souza brings the new Middle East into focus.
Could the fate of the world, of humanity itself, be somehow tied to this place?
At long last, we have peace in the Middle East. Israel and Christians are coming together in a way they have never been before.
But is this the end of Hamas and radical Islam? The Dragon's Prophecy is powerful, prophetic, a must-see movie. Now available on Amazon, YouTube, and iTunes. Don't miss out on the latest news. Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. America is at a tipping point. To ensure we stay the land of the free and home of the brave, you need to be informed and engaged. That's why we're here. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Hey, this is Doc Washburn. Health insurance can be confusing, but I know someone who can help you. Tammy Chase owns an independent insurance agency, and she'll meet with you and explain everything in plain English. Whether you're under 65 or approaching Medicare age, Tammy can help you. She works with multiple companies to create a custom plan for you and your budget. She sticks with you from start to finish. Visit TammyChaseInsurance.com. Having someone local who cares makes all the difference. TammyChaseInsurance.com.
The conservative voice of Arkansas, The Dave Elswick Show on 101.1 The Answer.
The final 25 minutes of our time with Ryan Norris from Americans for Prosperity here on the Dave Elswick Show. Then we have 2 more hours of the show, and we'll look at national, international stories at that time and how some of the stuff that's going on with Iran might affect us. But something that's going to affect us here pretty quickly is going to be gas prices. They're already crawling up, and the reason they're crawling up is because the nations that come through the Gulf of Hormuz are listening to Iran and hearing Iran threaten shipping in that area. The United States has done what it can to put everybody at ease. They've sunk most of the battleships that Iran had. They're at the bottom of the oceans there, and you know those countries don't have to worry about the price or the pressure of Iran. This is not like back in the 70s when we had gasoline prices going up in something through the ceiling, and if you had a positive number ending in your license plate, you got to fill up that a certain day, and if you had a negative number on your license plate, you filled up on a different day. Yeah, that happened. I lived through it. I remember it very, very well. I was in the military.
And that's the way it
time.
was.
That's the way it was. It won't be that way this time. And the main reason is because the United States is producing more oil than ever before and can make up the difference of, some other places not being able to get their supplies out at this time. It's going to be short-lived anyway. It's not going to be something that goes on for months or years. The president, and I believe him on this, has said that this whole thing should wrap up within the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Well, let's hope that it's no longer than that.
Yeah, I agree. And, I was reading an article today that said a lot of the IRGC, that's the Iranian guard over there, the killers that they used to send out to quail the demonstrations and whatnot in Iran, they don't have anybody to talk to about what they're supposed to be doing because those people are dead. They're no longer in the mix anymore.
Yeah.
So that's important things to keep in mind, because all of this is going to come and have some effect on your life. I'm not going to lie to you and say that it won't, but it's not going to be as significant as what it would have been if it had happened in the 70s, 80s, or 90s.
You mean so those whole memes about if a prince can send his son to serve in Afghanistan, then a president can send his son to serve in Iran? Talking about Barron, that's not going to happen.
No.
Oh, because I was under the impression from the liberals that we were actually in war.
Oh no, they haven't reinstated the draft.
Like these people are insane. Like last year, they were like, "Oh, we need to go help Ukraine for land, right? For land." But the Iranian leaders killed 30,000 of their own freaking people, and now you're protesting. You're only protesting because Donald Trump did it.
Yeah, but
and you hate him.
They killed thousands of our people.
Yeah,
that's something that, take you back to Kenya when they blew up the Kenyan embassy and killed several hundred people. Yeah. To the Marine barracks in Beirut, and they killed several hundred Marines, and on and on and on and on and on.
But they wanted to put boots on the ground in Ukraine over land.
Yeah, I know.
It's sick. It's just the do they even look? When will they see their own hypocrisy? That's what I cannot understand. Can they just write the stuff down that they say on paper and put it all in the same paragraph and see how dumb they sound?
Here's what the left does. The left says whatever the left thinks will lead to getting what the left wants.
They just spew nonsense.
Well, there's a lot of Americans that believe nonsense.
I know. It's sad. Hence, we need media literacy.
I'm being honest. That's why we spend so much time on this show breaking down things that we want to do and why, and talking about the specifics of how to do it.
One thing I think we got to worry about over here is do we have to worry about our electric grid and hacking and all that stuff and banking systems? And
of course we do.
Yeah.
Isn't that? That's what they.
You've already seen. They had the shooting in Austin. They now know that was terrorism. There's plenty of people out there that can be lone wolves, and they are the worst kind of terrorists to deal with.
Yeah. So you got to have your head on a swivel during these times. Just reading about Austin, Texas, and in the shooting down there, they're still trying to determine a motive. But the gentleman, let me rephrase that. The terrorist,
murderer,
who I believe they killed him.
Yes, they did. They shot him down in an intersection.
Yeah, had paraphernalia with him that insinuates this had something to do with the Iran situation.
Well, he had a Quran in his car.
He's walking around wearing a shirt that said that he belonged to Allah. That's pretty clear. And then underneath it, he had a T-shirt on that had a Palestinian flag on it.
Mm-hmm. So, there's consequences for all these actions. Americans how you vote and how you participate in the process is very important. It's election day. Your cost of living, your foreign policy, all of the things that you either support or complain about take place starting at the ballot box.
Yes, it does.
Get out and vote, because I've heard it all my life. You may not be interested in politics, but politics is interested in you. And folks need to get out and have their voices heard. If you don't like the direction of something, go vote for the policy champion that will actually support that. Find organizations. This is why we started off talking about the mailers and things and
misleading information.
Misleading information. Well, get with organizations, follow organizations that you agree with their principles and you agree with the way
like Americans for Prosperity.
Yeah, Americans for Prosperity. The other great organizations that are also here.
Arkansas Right to Life.
Yes, Arkansas Right to Life, Family Council, etc. And if you know what they stand for and you know what they look for in policy and in the politicians that should be the policy champions of that,
and they'll give you this straight skinny.
That'll be helpful. That's a helpful spot. Understanding that will help filter a little bit of the noise out. But you have to also understand, what kind of country do you want? Do you want a founding principles country to where you have the freedom to achieve the American dream? Well, follow the politicians that are making the decisions that either frustrate that or advance that for you, and then hold them accountable on those votes. So it's just critical. I have voted in every single election, maybe one that I may have missed in a primary season, one when I was at college. But other than that, I've voted in nearly every single election since I turned 18.
Good for you.
And it's just instilled in my family that that's what you do. You vote, and you try to vote and be informed. We have conversations in our family. Mom and dad will call me and we'll chat about, judiciary a lot. Get out there and vote on the judiciary. This is the general election for the judiciary today.
They're being elected today.
So it's important that you have individuals that are representing us at the Supreme Court level that are not going to legislate from the bench. So that's one thing that I look for personally, is this a constitutionalist, or is this someone who thinks that that's a living constitution that we need to take in the thoughts and feelings of the current people, where we are now, to make a decision that's probably going to be antithetical to the founding principles. I look for that. There's a lot of information out there. Start following organizations. Many of these mailers that we've been talking about today don't come from like organizations that are on the ground 365 days a year. Dave, AFP has an office here.
Yeah, he's right next door to me.
Yeah, AFP has staff here in the state. We are familiar with and have relationships with those individuals that we're supporting, and I run you should vote for someone, not just against someone. And so that's why we really sell it, that we have backup support information about votes or about their thoughts on policy that they've shared with us through their candidate surveys, that where we can feel confident in supporting some of these individuals. In all of the individuals we support, we feel confidence in, and that's vetted very strenuously from my political team at HQ, our legal team, our branding team. We ask, is this someone who we want to connect AFP's brand to? And then we do run a clean campaign on our side as an independent expenditure. And we want, hopefully that elevates the conversation. We should have more conversations to start with. Dave, what's your frustrations? What's your thoughts? What's frustrating you in your life? And then here's what's frustrating me in mine. We share that frustration. How can we design policy to where that frustration is taken care of?
Let me ask you, do you know, I'm getting a lot of texts about different candidates and, vote for me and I'll set you free kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I look at it and I'm wondering, did candidates pay X amount of dollars to the party? Well, and then the party is giving you X amount of times you'll be shot out?
I don't think so. I mean, I know you have to pay.
It's like a text
You have
thing.
to. You have. I don't know. I don't know how that's working actually.
Because there's a lot of it going on.
Mhm.
Well,
I've got 5 of them on my
From the
phone
party?
right now. From individual candidates, but they are all virtually the same.
Well, they buy
way.
the list,
Yeah, you can buy the list.
and then they send out all blast.
Okay.
Like they can do that for the MailChimp. There's all kinds of
Yeah, there are
different.
different ways you can
Yeah.
purchase. So AFP, we use a system called i360, and there's both collected information that our organization collects when we do surveys or polling, and that information gets fed into that system. But then we can also purchase, consumer data that says, hey, these are the individuals who are interested in these things, and 90% of people interested in these things are also interested in this politically or whatever. And it's an information game. The same way that your ads pop up on your social media regarding what you're interested in, that same kind of algorithms are what we use as well in politics. Now, I do think we need to sit back and chat again at some point, and I say we as the collective of those that are interested in policy ideas and advancing policy. How do we get people's attention on these issues in the right way, so that it's not just battle royale, R versus D, big R, little R versus each other, whatever that may be, but we can actually get to solving the people's problems. Government was supposed to be politics is the replacement for violence.
Mm-hmm.
And you now have it to where people are really trying to foment emotions to such levels that you do have political violence. We see this now all the time. People are the murders in Austin are politically motivated. They're, and we don't want to fan those flames. There's ways of talking to each other in a responsible, dignified way that can get us to where we need to go. And is it frustrating? Yes. Is it difficult? Sometimes, yes. But when you get that breakthrough to where your fears and my fears are alleviated and our problems are getting solved together, that's where the founders wanted us to be. They wanted us to be that nation to where you could speak freely because you were contributing to the conversation on where our country should go and what policies that we should be a part of. And now you have either those that want to exclude the voices, or we've now have it so insular. This is a problem also a little bit with the algorithm idea, to where you only hear what supports you. If my algorithms on my feed start to tell me too much of what I exactly want to hear, I start getting really suspicious, because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I don't want to just immediately take what they're telling me just because it feels good or feels truthful and say that that's what the truth actually is. I want to dig a little deeper.
All right, let's take a break. Final break for the hour here on the Dave Elswick Show.
Snow, ice, and power outages. Central Arkansas just got another reminder that winter doesn't play around. Northside Power keeps homes running with Cummins home standby generators. Northside Power is Central Arkansas's largest supplier and the #1 provider in sales and service. Their systems automatically restore power in seconds. And with Northside's monitoring technology, you'll know your generator is ready before the next storm hits. Generators isn't something we do, it's all we do.
Tom Cotton served in uniform and fought in combat. Now he fights for Arkansas's conservative values in the Senate. President Trump and Governor Sanders endorsed Tom Cotton because he's a trusted conservative. And now he's fighting to put Arkansas and America first. Cotton has a 100% conservative voting record. He fights for lower prices and to deport illegal aliens. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
I fought for our country. In Arkansas, you trusted me to fight for you. Working with President Trump, we've secured the border, rebuilt our military, and passed the biggest middle-class tax cut in history. I'm fighting to lower your costs and get you a bigger paycheck. And I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump and Governor Sanders. I'm asking for your vote so we can keep fighting for Arkansas together. I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Paid for by Cotton for Senate.
Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Elswick Show?
I give him a high grade on it because I think he was able to articulate a lot of the good things that he's done and that we've worked with him to do, and to remind Americans that what they're seeing put out by the Democrats and the mainstream media, which oftentimes are the same thing, is not all true. So I was really glad that he talked about the secure border, that he talked about how energy prices are lower and going down, how people are going to get bigger tax returns and tax refunds than they've had, and how he's working hard and doing things that are actually making things more affordable as inflation decreases. And we're even seeing...
Don't miss Congressman Bruce Westerman, Wednesday mornings on 101.1. The Answer.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Darian. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Dave Elswick Show continues now. 101.1. The Answer.
All right, this is our final segment with Ryan Norris of Americans for Prosperity. He's the Arkansas chapter leader, and keep you in mind about what we're doing here in Arkansas. How many states are you guys in now?
We're in 40 states, but we operate in all 50. We have organizations, or we have grassroots communities that we're growing in states. I mean, we even have engagements that we're working on in California, Washington, Western states. And there's people there hungry for what Americans for Prosperity does, which is equip citizens to have their voices heard, to make an impact in their politics and in their policy. And the work is never done, because you are always having to fight for the freedoms, and then you have to defend them.
Yeah.
And so there's, I've got colleagues who are working in some states. I'm like, wow, that is a tough row to hoe right there. But they're doing great work. And that's, again, the power of grassroots. We got to get out there and talk to people where they're at. That's what needs to happen. I've told stories over and over again about people who you would not think would be supportive of policies or of candidates, that when you talk to them and you get down to what they care about, and you're saying, hey, here's what this candidate has said, or here's how this policy is going, or this is where this candidate stands, and this is the policy that we're working on that will help take care of that problem for you. They want to come alongside of us. We have folks from across the political spectrum that agree that more freedom is necessary for everybody.
Well, I like the story you tell about being down in the Pine Bluff area, and you talked to the lady who was, when Biden was president, was all up in arms that the president was telling her to buy an electric car, and all she wanted was to have enough money left over in her paycheck to fix her, internal combustion engine.
Yeah, that's it. And she's like, okay, this makes sense to me, because President Biden wants me to buy an $80,000 electric vehicle when I can't keep my late model minivan running. And so I want to support policies. And she said this, I want to support policies that make sure that I can afford gasoline. It's that it can be that simple, but we really have to get out there as a body of folks who agree philosophically, principally on the policies, and start talking to more people. If you're not out there talking to people, the people are out there talking about you, and they're probably going to get it wrong. And so that's why AFP is crisscrossing the state, telling people who we are, telling people that, hey, we're on your side to make your life easier, to help you achieve the American dream and be prosperous. And we want your participation. We're not going to do this for you. That's not what we're here to do. We're not a top-down organization. We want to build the grassroots voices that help affect the change. It's not about just AFP as a brand, and we are a significant brand. We have been around for 20 plus years now, 21, 22 years coming up. And we've made big differences, and we still have big differences that we still need to make. But right now, focusing in on, you got to get out and vote.
Well, to be
Gotta
honest,
get out and vote right
the work that Americans for Prosperity is involved in will never go out of vogue.
I don't think so, because we're closely connected to the founding principles, in that sense that individuals knows what's best for their life. That's us. We're not here to tell you what to do with your life. We're here to say, wouldn't it be awesome if you had the freedom to do what you needed to do in your life? I say it over and over again, Dave, but it's truly what we mean. We're here to create the society in which more decisions are made by you than are made for you.
Yeah, it's called freedom.
Yeah, it's called freedom. That's how simple it is. And it used to be not quite as controversial, but you have so many people now that, there's issues with the system that we do need to work on, and it has eroded confidence in people who eroded the confidence of people on the American dream.
Yeah.
More people are saying, I don't think I'll ever own a home. I'm just going to, I don't think I'm going to get a car. I don't know what the future is and what that's going to look like for me. They're losing that hope. Shame on us. We are supposed to be the shining city on the hill that Reagan talked about, to where people come here for economic opportunity and for freedom and for liberty. And we have got to get that back. If that is what you truly believe in, and you're not contributing to that on the daily, and I'm talking
that's what people are working towards through this organization, Americans for Prosperity, is to make sure that the American dream stays alive and viable for the majority of people in this country.
Yes, that's exactly where we're at. We don't want to tell you how to live. We just want to give you the freedom to live within the framework of the American principles and ideals. We have to be a society that at minimum agrees that we all deserve some human dignity between us, that we should observe the rights of others and their rights to property, their right, all of the right to speech. These are the things that are worth fighting for on the daily, Dave. And I'm blessed to be in a situation where that's what I get to do. But we need citizens to come along. So if you're interested in working with Americans for Prosperity, you can go to believenar.com, go to the Contact Us, and sign up there. You can look at the events that we have coming up. We have the event in Fort Smith on this Thursday with Joey Bishop Hinchman of the National Taxpayers Union. At the end of the month, 18th, 19th, we're going to have Grover Norquist in town.
He's coming.
And Grover's coming, and we're going to have a great time with him, do some events with lawmakers. We're going to do an event in Northwest Arkansas, Bentonville, with Grover. So excited about that. And then in April, when the fiscal session, around the time of the fiscal session, we're talking with Jonathan Williams and about doing another big event with lawmakers and citizens on the pathway to zero. And also the rich state, poor state rankings come out from ALEC. So lots of good things on the horizon, Dave.
Out of time for today. We'll have Ryan back on next Tuesday, and we'll take up all the issues that need to be taken up then. We're going to have news at the top of the hour. Then when we come back, why Iraq is so important to our national security. That's going to come up, and we'll talk about it on the Dave Elswick Show.
Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamek Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. As American and Israeli airstrikes continue pounding Iran, the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia's capital has been targeted by an Iranian drone strike. The BBC's David Willis in Washington says the president vows retribution.
President Trump told one of the cable news networks here that the United States would retaliate for this action quite soon, as he put it. And this is all part of a series of Iranian missile and drone strikes on Gulf states that play host to U.S. bases. And such is the growing danger, indeed, as far as those countries are concerned, that the US State Department has urged American citizens in more than a dozen countries in the region to leave as soon as possible as concerns grow that this conflict is spreading.
There were no injuries in the embassy attack. Some congressional Democrats say the attack on Iran is unwarranted. They say the country posed no imminent threat to the U.S., but Secretary of State Rubio disputes that claim.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act.
U.S. Central Command says 6 U.S. soldiers died in an Iranian strike on a logistics unit in Kuwait. The Iranian Red Crescent reports close to 800 deaths in Iran. That includes the upper echelon of the regime in Tehran. President Trump says the United States can keep the military campaign going longer than the planned 4 to 5 week time frame that he gave earlier. Sell-off underway this morning on Wall Street. The Dow down just over 1,000 points, loss of 2%. The Nasdaq is off 465. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. A lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead financially in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, equal housing lender, NMLS number 819382.
The White House suggests a presidential rash is really no big deal.
The White House is attributing a large red spot on President Trump's neck to a skin cream he is using. News photographers captured close-up images of the president's neck during a Medal of Honor ceremony in the East Room of the White House. His doctor, Sean Barbabella, says the president is using a very common cream on the right side of his neck, which is a preventative skin treatment, and will use it for 1 week. He says the redness is expected to last for a few weeks. The president's medical report from his physical almost a year ago noted he was taking mometasone cream as needed for an unspecified skin condition. Ed Donahue, Washington.
The Supreme Court is clearing the way for California schools to tell parents if their kids identify as transgender without getting the student's approval. The High Court granting an emergency appeal. It was filed by a conservative group. News and analysis, townhall.com. Firefighters routinely make daring rescues, but this is one for the record books.
Crews in East Texas rescuing 2 people stranded 900 feet in the air after a hot air balloon hit a communications tower. Officials in Longview say firefighters took about 1 hour to climb up to the man and woman in the balloon's basket. It was another hour before the pair was secured inside the tower and then could begin their descent. Neither person was seriously injured. Federal Aviation Administration is investigating that incident. Jason Walker reporting.
A federal court has denied the Trump administration's attempt to slow the process of refunding billions of dollars worth of tariffs that the Supreme Court struck down last month as illegal. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit starting the next phase of the refund process. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Concerned about market risk? I'm Ferenc Toth, host of the Your Personal Bank Show. The S&P 500 valuations are higher than at any time ever recorded in stock market history. This includes 1929 and 1999. Annuities and Your Personal Bank offer unlimited upside with no downside risk. Tune in to the Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. or contact Ferenc at yourpersonalbank.com. The Your Personal Bank Show Saturdays at 1 p.m. on 101.1 The Answer.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Join me weekdays for This Morning, America's First News. Hear the stories you'll be talking about and searching for all day as we go beyond the headlines and above the chatter with your first look at breaking news, money, Washington politics, technology, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and sports. We explain why stories matter. That's why we are referred to as the most important and relevant radio program. Join us weekdays for This Morning, America's First News.
We bring you the biggest news stories of the day. Not to tell you what to think, but to allow you to have the most information so you can make up your mind. 101.1, The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Something big is happening, and you need to be in the know. Operation Epic Fury is here, and the only place to get all the details. Stay tuned and listen closely for updates on Operation Epic Fury on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
All right, 9 o'clock hour of the Dave Elswick Show on a Tuesday. Let's spend the next several minutes talking about this whole thing with Iran in a global consideration. I mean, that's what I want you to do. You got to be able to, look and see the forest for the trees. And there's a lot of you that,
Smacked in the head with a
refuse to
tree.
do that because, one, you think that any kind of military action against anybody is the wrong thing to do, which it's not. That's why you have a military. You use it when it's necessary. And know that what Trump has done thus far has been very limited in who he's been going after. I mean, he was talking yesterday, and the Iranians were threatening to shut down the Gulf of Hormuz by, sinking some oil tankers or something like that. And the America devastated their Navy, completely devastated it. I forget how many destroyers they blew up. Look, everybody who knows anything about military actions, destroyers are not how you project your power anymore. Aircraft carriers is the way that you project your ability to fight. The Iranians didn't have any aircraft carriers. I think they only had 2 submarines, and they've been taken care of. So, we basically have control of the seas, the water surrounding Iran and the Middle East, and we have control of the air over Iran. They were talking last night in the press conference that Hegseth was in, the Secretary of War, and he made the statement that they have literally destroyed all of Iran's planes.
Good.
When we fly over Iran now, that's important because, all of our targets are not along the coastline or anything like that. They're well into the interior. And so you want to be able to reach out and touch somebody in those areas that aren't necessarily have to be destroyed so that they cannot prosecute war anymore. I mean, they're prosecuting a little bit. They're shooting some missiles. The president knew that the Iranians, in between the hammer op that happened last summer and this one, Fury, that's happening now, that during that time, about every month, the Iranians were producing somewhere between 200 and 400 missiles. So they want to be able to take out their ability to, meet and produce those missiles anymore, and so we're targeting those sites as we speak. So the president, I think, has done a good job doing what he said he would do. There's nobody, I won't say nobody, there's some people who have their boots on the ground that are reporting information through our CIA and through the Mossad, and those organizations are sharing information and getting it to the various leadership in the area. Netanyahu spoke out yesterday and talked about how great what Trump was doing, how important that it was. He said the Israeli prime minister said he was a guest on the Sean Hannity show, and Bibi said, "I want to tell you something. I'm not a youngster, so I've been around. There's never been a president like Donald J. Trump. His resoluteness, his decisiveness, his clarity of thinking, the way he gets things right to the crux of things, it cuts through all the fluff. It cuts through the chase, to the chase, gets down to the main point, and he gets down to the main action that needs to be taken." And I think for Israel, and I think for the countries of the free world, let me tell you, I think for the world, we're very lucky to have Donald Trump as the leader of the free world, and in fact, the leader of the world. He's brought America back to being the leader of the world.
That's what I said yesterday.
I mean,
if you're not proud of your country right now, well, then that's your problem, and you're an idiot because, like I said, you're not proud because of a man that you don't like, because you've been fed lies and Russia, and stuff that's been fabricated out by the Democrats to make the man look bad.
Yeah.
All the lawsuits and all that. You're not proud of your country for liberating a country. There's something messed up with you.
Yeah, well.
Do you realize that, you know what I said yesterday about, and what I've said this whole time is, this could happen to America. Iran in the 70s was a little America over in the Middle East. I mean, women wore mini skirts, no hijab. And then in the 79, the Shah was exiled because they wanted change. And it's literally, I'm getting chills on the back of my neck because this morning I got up and I read this. I was watching this woman in Iran, and she says, "We picked our Mandami 47 years ago, and we were just now rescued from his reign of terror on Iranians." That to me gave me chills, because how many times do we have to tell you people? They're not going to say what they're going to do to you to get them to vote. They're literally coming in our back door now, trying to get into our government. That's how they're trying to beat us. They hate America. They don't want to be in here in America.
Well, we short circuit their reasoning to be in America.
Right.
That's the reason it is. And a lot of people say that what Trump did with this, foray into foreign policy, and what he did with Venezuela and getting rid of Maduro and things of that nature, that people look down on the United States and other part of the world. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Let me take you to what a lot of people say. Well, look at the problems we got with NATO. We don't have problems with NATO. NATO's got problems with NATO.
You're being gaslit by the media.
The secretary of NATO talked about NATO's relationship with the United States. And he said, there's no sliver of light between us, not one. NATO Secretary Mark Rutte, who served previously as the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, has become a key advocate and ally of the U.S. generally, and Trump in particular, as we navigate this dynamic period of history. Look, Trump, I think, understood and evidently was brought up on what the Iranians were doing, and he was concerned about the security of our country. That's his number one job.
And the people of Iran.
Well,
he literally said that.
That's a secondary consideration.
Right. No, of course, his first concern is always America first. But I mean, how can you sit there as a country? If you were in Trump's position and you heard and saw what was happening to these people, and now you see your own people electing those very people into our office, like that's a threat in itself.
Well, we have to understand that Trump was given a big time briefing just before he launched the strike, and it hasn't been shared with us, except that we are to know that the Iranians were very close to having a ballistic missile that could reach the United States.
Yeah, and that's
yeah, it may not have been nuclear tipped, but can you imagine?
Right.
Let's say you woke up one morning and you turn on the TV to watch the news, and they're talking about people that are dead and how
or for God forbid you woke up and your upstairs neighbor or whatever is in your living room now because you were bombed.
And you got the Stevens building was hit by a ballistic missile.
Right.
That's exactly the kind of thing that the Iranians were working towards.
Death to America.
And as long as the Ayatollah was alive and the people that were under him were alive, that wasn't going to change. So you've got to do something to move them off of that dime, and he did.
So who's leading this?
Well, they're still members.
Right, but who do you think is taking charge now?
We don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who's
bombing all the other countries, which is stupid. It's stupid. You literally want them all to just demolish you.
Well, I think that what has happened is that the Ayatollah may have said something to the effect of, if America attacks us, if America would kill me, here are your marching orders. And that may be what they are doing right now. Look, it isn't just about America per se. They don't like us, and they want to cause us as much grief as they can. Their religion believes that their religion will bring on the apocalypse and deliver the world into Muslim hands. And that's why they're shooting at everybody right now. They're trying to escalate this up to make it a world war. So far, it's not paid off. And the Arab countries that have been bombed by Iran are like, what's your story?
Right. Like we will defend ourselves.
Yeah. And they are.
Right.
And they are doing that.
Which is also terrible, because you have all these people in the streets that they don't show on the news partying and dancing in the streets because they were not allowed to dance, Dave, in revolt against these people that are now bombing these other countries, and all these bombs are going to come down on them. And that's the horrible thing. They're not the ones that we want to take out.
The key. This is not World War II.
No. Liberals are making
it. World War II, it was to bring Hitler to his knees. We had to bring his people to their knees
because they were doing his bidding.
It. They were supporting what Hitler was doing, and so that's when, they weren't carpet bombing until the very end, but they were taking a grid, laying it over a city, and this square over here is called, grid 0.8 or whatever. They would go and say, we're going to go and we're going to drop bombs on the city of Dresden in section 8 because they've got 2 steel mills there.
Right.
We're going to cut them from being able to produce steel. That's the kind of stuff that was going on with the Nazis. What's going on now is we got bombs that we can put coordinates in, and it will only land on where it's going to. And that's what they're doing now. They're taking out they can put a cruise missile into the front door window of an apartment.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're able to do that kind of stuff.
Accuracy.
Yeah. Now, you might have some people get killed that live right next door or whatever. But if you've been living next door to a killer and not done anything about it, you might want to check your belief system. So anyway, the NATO says, we're in on this. NATO Secretary General voiced full support for President Trump's strikes on Iran, declaring key allies stand, quote, all for one and one for all, unquote, amid Tehran's widening missile retaliation. There is no sliver of light between us. The Europeans, Canada, of Mark Kerry from Canada said the United States, the American president, were all for one and one for all, because everybody supports here in Europe the fact that Khomeini is gone, that the nuclear capability is gone, that the ballistic missile program has been now degraded. Soon it will be gone, which was a big threat for Europe, for Israel, for the whole region. See, that's the other thing you got to understand. These ballistic missiles that Iran was getting, they could have sent one to London. They could have sent one to Berlin.
Did you see, though, where Spain,
all of that kind of stuff,
where Spain denied us to use their airbase?
Well, that's their prerogative.
Like, I don't understand that.
That's their prerogative. But maybe if I was overlooking, missiles that were coming into their place, they might say,
they might change their mind.
Whatever. Anyway, it's just something that, people have got to understand. This is not just about Iran and how they're affecting the Middle East. This is about Iran and how they're affecting the world.
The whole world.
All right. Iran was selling oil to the Chinese at a cut rate price. They've cut that off now. They hit the area that was, pumping the oil in the tankers so that they could take the oil to them. We did the same thing to Venezuela. Venezuela was helping our enemies. So bottom line, we're doing what is necessary to be done. I'll come back after this break and we will talk about, well, what has Iran done in the past? I'll remind you when we come back here on the Dave Elswick Show.
Tom Cotton served in uniform and fought in combat. Now he fights for Arkansas's conservative values in the Senate. President Trump and Governor Sanders endorsed Tom Cotton because he's a trusted conservative. And now he's fighting to put Arkansas and America first. Cotton has a 100% conservative voting record. He fights for lower prices and to deport illegal aliens. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
I fought for our country. In Arkansas, you trusted me to fight for you. Working with President Trump, we've secured the border, rebuilt our military, and passed the biggest middle-class tax cut in history. I'm fighting to lower your costs and get you a bigger paycheck. And I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump and Governor Sanders. I'm asking for your vote so we can keep fighting for Arkansas together. I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Paid for by Cotton for Senate.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
101.1 The Answer. Weather.
There's a slight chance of some sunshine today, but mainly it's going to be a cloudy day. 77 for the high, down to 53 with clouds tonight, and then a pretty good shot at rain tomorrow and a high of 78.
You can watch the show right now. The Dave Elswick Show is streaming live on Facebook. This is 101.1 The Answer.
Look, I know that everybody who listens to this show is not 73 years old or older. A lot of you are a lot younger, a lot younger. And maybe you don't understand what Iran has done in the last nearly 50 years. Let's go over it, and shows you the patience that this country has had with this regime. For you younger folks, I'm really doing this because I bet you haven't been taught this. Let me give you a partial record of the Iranian regime's blood-soaked war on Americans. We go back to November 1979 when Iranian students backed by the regime seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 66 Americans hostage for a 444-day standoff. In April of 1983, the Islamic Jihad, an Iran-backed terrorist group, carried out a suicide car bombing at the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, killing 17 Americans. Then in October of 83, Iran-backed Hezbollah terrorists killed 241 U.S. military personnel, including 220 U.S. Marines and 21 other service personnel in a truck bombing of a Marine compound in Beirut. Let's go a little closer to today. January of 2020, 100 U.S. troops suffered traumatic brain injuries in an Iranian ballistic missile attack on the Ain al-Assad air base in Iraq. Between 2003 and 2011, Iran-backed militias killed at least 603 U.S. troops in Iraq, roughly 1 in every 6 American combat fatalities in Iraq when they helped the insurgency build, ICDs to kill Americans. They taught the people that were ISIS and others how to build these IEDs so that they would penetrate the armor of our troop carriers. Let's not forget the Cole when it was bombed, and it killed, I forget how many Americans it killed. So this is an ongoing attack from a rogue nation in Iran. And I think, we have shown enormous amounts of patience with this country, and our patience was running very thin. The president let them know that if you don't come to the negotiating table, and get serious about this stuff, bad things are going to happen to you. And one of the things they were wanting to negotiate was the stopping of production of these ballistic missiles. It wasn't just about an atomic weapon. It was stopping the development of a missile that could reach Europe and could reach the United States. I mean, we don't want to be under, the ability of that country to attack us. It's an unstable nation. They're unstable people that are running it. I mean, they're as bad, if not worse, than the Nazis were. The Nazis would take over a country like Poland and just randomly kill thousands of people. In Czechoslovakia, in one day, they killed 50,000 people lining up by a ditch and shooting them in the back of the head. All right, let's get to news. I'll come back, give you more information.
RN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. As the U.S. and Israel keep up their attacks on Iran, the Iranians are lashing out at other countries, including their arch enemy, Israel. firing what missiles and drones they have left in their arsenal. The American embassy in Saudi Arabia has been targeted by the Iranians. A couple of drones hit the empty building. 6 U.S. service members have been killed in the war, while deaths in Iran approach 800, and that includes that country's supreme leader. 3 states kicking off the 2026 election cycle with primaries on tap today. Oil prices are surging, driving a sharp rise in prices at the gas pump here at home. And Wall Street is in the midst of a huge sell-off. The Dow is down now more than 1,200 points, a loss of 2.5%. The NASDAQ off 622 points. This is SRN News.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. A lot of us are thinking about taxes, home projects we've been putting off, ways to get ahead eventually in 2026. Now's the perfect time to talk to my friends at Fellowship Home Loans. If you want to lower your mortgage payment, they can help you refinance. If you need access to cash for home improvements or to wipe out high-interest debt, their fixed-rate line of credit is one of the best tools out there. Fast approval, predictable rate, and flexibility to use your home's equity wisely. Remember, many people still qualify to skip their next 2 mortgage payments. Imagine starting big projects or paying down debt with 2 months of breathing room. My family and I have used Fellowship personally. I trust these guys. Take control of 2026. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G. fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE. That's 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on the dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Feeling like a family getaway, but don't want to go too far? Need a true adventure, but don't want to spend too much? Want a ton of stuff to do that's all in the same place? Welcome to Arkansas State Parks, where in a couple hours drive, you can change your scenery and your state of mind. With active adventures or just gorgeous views where you can catch your breath. We have 52 state parks to choose from. Plan your getaway at arkansasstateparks.com. Brought to you by this station and the Arkansas Broadcasters Association.
If things don't change, can you imagine America in 20 years? Scary thought, isn't it? The good news is we have the power to take our nation back. Stay right here for all the information you need. 101.1, The Answer. Dave Elswick is the conservative voice of Arkansas, and he's back. 101.1, The Answer.
A lot of this goes back to getting rid of terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of terrorists in the world who want to do us harm. And my answer to that is the same answer that the Mossad gave a class that I was taking when I was in the Air Force. The class was about international terrorism and how to beat it. Now, I'll let you know the worst at that time. The Biden Meinhof gang in Germany was in vogue. The Red Army was in vogue. A lot of European terrorist groups, and they're not around anymore. And I'll tell you why in just a moment as well. Just bear with me for a moment. So during this meeting, a Mossad agent spoke to us. And I can talk about this because it wasn't top secret. It was just sharing information about something that had happened many years ago. Some of you who are young will not remember the Munich Olympics. and you don't remember Black September. Probably never even heard of them. And Black September.
Was that with Nadia Comaneci?
Well, that she was there.
That
She's
was
a
that
Russian.
year. Yes.
But of course, Israelis had their own floor in a motel, and they had all kinds of protection, but that didn't stop Black September from getting in and taking them hostage. And I remember Kurt Gowdy. Kurt Gowdy was a great sportscaster, but he became a newscaster because he was reporting on what was happening in Munich. Long story short, Black September had put together a deal with the Mossad and the Israelis, took the athletes to the airport there in Munich, and then killed every one of the Israeli Olympic team by blowing up the helicopters that they were in that was supposed to transport them away from Germany. Well, this guy had been in charge of Operation Gideon Sword, and one thing that the Israelis don't do is forget. They don't forget. They remember the innocent people that have been killed, and they will go in and reap their pound of flesh when it's necessary. Well, they tracked down every member of that Black September team, and they assassinated every one of them. They killed every one of them. If you saw the Spielberg film Munich, it was a pretty good movie about searching out terrorism and what you got to do to get rid of terrorism. Well, at the end of the presentation, the Mossad agent, I don't remember the guy's name. I just remember him standing up in front of the class and taking questions, and a captain raised his hand and he called on him, and now you've heard this argument before. Well, if you kill those terrorists, there'll be members of their family that'll be so upset that they'll become terrorists. What do you do about that? And this is what he said. It's as clear as day to me today as it was the day I was sitting in that class. He says, you kill them too. And then he went on and he said, terrorists are like rats. They hide in the dark and they take advantage of you while you're not looking. So the best thing you can do is to kill them all. And I tend to have that exact same thought process. Kill them off. Noah Pollock says that. Let me go through this. One of Trump's greatest legacies are going to be how he blew up a half century of Western diffidence, restraint, and failure on terrorism. As the era of Islamic terrorism began in the 1970s, Western countries, very much including Israel, spun up all kinds of pseudo-sophisticated theories and excuses to avoid carrying out the only successful policy, which is killing terrorists. You got to kill them, as many of them as you can, whenever you can. There are entire university departments, think tanks, media outlets, NGO foundations, and political parties devoted to promoting self-defeating fictions about terrorism designed to tie the hands of the West. Let me go over what some of those are. Let me just, as I say this, you think about how many times you've heard it mentioned to you. We just have to live with it. You've heard that before, haven't you? Well, terrorism not going anywhere. We'll just be fighting them all the time. You have to deal with it. Just deal with it. You know that you're going to have a terrorist attack ever so often. accommodate it, accept the barbarism, or here's the worst ones. Terrorists have grievances. You know, there's something that's happened that they don't agree with, and so they're taking the law into their own hand and killing innocent people. It's partly our fault that there's terrorists. After all, and then you can go through it because of these reasons. Name them. All right. Just name any reason, and I'm sure it's been applied to terrorism. There are no military solutions. Bomb them to smithereens and kill them all off. Now, let me give you some that make sense. Decimate the regimes that are doing it. Iran was a terrible country because they did kind of the Pilate thing with Christ, you know. Pilate sent Christ off to his death. Then he washed his hands and he said, I washed my hands of this man's blood. You know, I'm not going to do it. You're going to do it. Go ahead. Go do it. But it was you who gave him the go-ahead to go ahead and do it. And that's what they did in Iran. The Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, and then multiple other terrorist organizations that they were given oil money to go out and kill innocent people. Sanction them until they have no more money. Well, we've tried that, but we've had two presidents, Obama and Biden. Obama sent billions of dollars over to the Iranians on pallets. Go on the internet and type in pallets of money for Iran and look at the pictures of the money sitting on the tarmac that we sent to Iran. Or maybe you do it like Biden did. You take away all of the things that kept them from getting the money. You froze all their accounts and whatnot. So what he did is he unfroze them. What that did is pour millions upon millions of dollars into the coffers of Iran. Let me just tell you that Trump gets all that. He understands all that. He summed it up the other day when he said, hey, I did this. It should have been done a long time ago. And I agree with him. If we had dealt with this a long time ago, we would not be dealing with it today. Unlike a lot of people in politics, he doesn't care whether Harvard likes him or not. His job is to do what is necessary to keep America safe, and that's how he's thinking through this and why he's done what he's done. And for you who are going to go back to one of the big arguments, well, if you attack them, they're going to attack us. Yeah, that probably will happen. But that'll just draw the rats out even more and we can kill more of them. That's the way it works. You know, the bottom line, how did we defeat Japan? We killed enough people that they didn't want to war against us anymore. Same thing against the Germans. They finally gave up when it pays better to sue for peace than it does to fight a war. We're really in a monumental time of history right now. Monumental. You have other Arab nations now attacking Iran because Iran attacked them, and they're sending their what few planes they have and things of that nature, and are joining and backing the United States and Israel, in fact, in our endeavors to do away with these people. They've been around for a long time, too long, and need to be stopped. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And what now?
And then here in America, as Andy Elliott posted today in the Northeast Arkansas Tea Party group, right now in America, there are protesters protesting the death of a man that murdered protesters for protesting. Make that make sense to me.
Yeah.
Again, liberals, put all your views on one sheet of paper and look at it.
Yeah, here's their views.
It's all over it's hypocrisy.
Their views are Donald Trump, whatever he does, will stand against it.
Exactly. And that's just ridiculously
that's
immature.
The way they are. That's what they're doing. It's worse than immature. It's deadly is what it is. It is deadly. And I gotta believe that they understand that. I know that Omar does. I know that Ilhan does. I know that AOC understands that all of this. They've sat through the Marco Rubio's briefings and other people's briefings of how dangerous these groups were, but they didn't want to go and get rid of them because they, in a sense, well, not even in a sense, they believe the same things that the terrorist groups believe. They don't love their country. Make no doubt about it. If you're looking at thousands of Americans who have been killed by Iran, and we've not done anything about it. The people who didn't do anything about it, I got to question their loyalty to the United States. At least when Reagan had a Lebanon bombing of the Marine barracks, he packed everybody up and brought them home because he knew how difficult it would be to go out and to be able to prosecute military operations when you had as many people as there were that believed the saying, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. You've heard that, haven't you?
Yep.
One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. Not true. Just not true. You might sit down and try to tell yourself that, but if you really sit down and critically think about what you're saying, you'll understand that all you're doing is making it possible for the terrorists to do what they do.
Yeah, they're just going to take over because of you. Your dumbness will let them in. Here, come on in.
It's kind of like over in Ireland when they were having all the sectarian violence in Ireland. And there were people back in the United States, like in Boston, that would send millions of dollars to those people so that they could kill British citizens. It's crazy. That's just crazy.
The whole lot of it's crazy.
So and I'm not saying that, some things led up to that, but I will say this. Nobody has the high ground when they start just killing wantonly innocent people.
Like they literally, the woman that I told you about that said we picked our Mandami 47 years ago, she said his speech was exactly what Khomeini said when they chose him as their leader.
Well, I've got some big coins, and it was coins that people in Iraq were given that were against Hussein, and who supported Hussein. Now, if you didn't have that coin in your house where they could see it, somebody was going to die from your household. People would literally come out, from their family would disappear, and they'd open the front door, and that person was there again, cut up in pieces and surgically packed for the family.
Someone just posted on one of my posts, Iranians are more for America now than Democrats.
A lot of them are.
Maybe we should make Iran
51st state.
Yeah.
Yeah, that ain't going to happen. They love.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
They love their country too much.
I agree, but they're loving Trump too.
I don't. Well, I'm not saying that they don't, but they can hold on to their own country and still love Trump. Let's take a break, and then we'll come back and talk more. I hope going through this step by step helps you to understand what it is that's happening and has happened in the Middle East and why we find ourselves where we're at now. Trump is only doing, I believe, what Biden or Obama or Bush Jr. or even Clinton could have done if they had the cojones to do it. 10 minutes till 10. We'll take a break here on the Dave Elswick Show.
There's a real battle going on, not only for our future, but that of our children and grandchildren. How do we ensure they have it better than we do? One way is to keep listening to us. We're your information source in the battle. 101.1, The Answer.
Tom Cotton served in uniform and fought in combat. Now he fights for Arkansas's conservative values in the Senate. President Trump and Governor Sanders endorsed Tom Cotton because he's a trusted conservative. And now he's fighting to put Arkansas and America first. Cotton has a 100% conservative voting record. He fights for lower prices and to deport illegal aliens. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
I fought for our country. In Arkansas, you trusted me to fight for you. Working with President Trump, we've secured the border, rebuilt our military, and passed the biggest middle-class tax cut in history. I'm fighting to lower your costs and get you a bigger paycheck. And I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump and Governor Sanders. I'm asking for your vote so we can keep fighting for Arkansas together. I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Paid for by Cotton for Senate.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Something big is happening, and you need to be in the know. Operation Epic Fury is here, and the only place to get all the details. Stay tuned and listen closely for updates on Operation Epic Fury on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. Now, back to the Dave Elswick Show. 101.1 The Answer.
I guess what I'm trying to really get to the nitty gritty of this, where the rubber hits the road. Iran, from what I understand, now I wasn't part and parcel of the peace talks that were going on over there. That was Rubio and several other people, Witkoff and some others. But from what they have said is that the Iranians were hedging getting rid of their ballistic missile program. Look, we literally disrupted their whole atomic program. Not saying that they weren't trying to put it back together, because we know they were. That has been hit again, and they're not going to. They had blown it up into little pieces before. Now it's even littler pieces that are taking care of the smaller pieces that they've destroyed it into. And so we don't have to worry about the centrifuges and things of that nature. It was amazing to me during the time, and this goes back to Clinton. It's amazing to me that we were allowing the Iranians to go out and buy centrifuges and doing nothing about it, and allowing them to put together partially in a mountain these labs, so that at that time the United States didn't have anything big enough to take out their labs. Now, we could have used an atomic weapon, but that's a non-starter for most countries. So what they did is they dropped these 2,000-pound bombs on them to take them out. I mean, the concussion alone would have destroyed a lot of the centrifuges because they're so fine in their instrumentation. So we were doing everything we could then to stop the Iranians from doing a nuclear weapon. And you would have the Democrats say, yeah, we can't let them have a nuclear weapon, and then would do everything to help them get a nuclear weapon.
But
that's the problem. I mean, even
how many did they buy with that $1 billion Obama gave them?
Well, as far as Republican presidents, they fell into the trap of doing that. And here's the other thing that politicians fall into the trap of. Well, the American people don't want to see this happen, so we won't do it. Trump dealt with that during this particular program, this op. And he said, look, I understand that the poll numbers are what they are, but this isn't about poll numbers. This is about the protection of the United States. That is my number one job, and I'll do what we got to do to protect the people of this country. Now, if you ask me, that's a leader. That's the kind of leader that we want sitting in the White House.
Right now, I do for sure.
I voted for Trump twice. I'd vote for him a third time if he could run a third time, but he can't. And I loved when he would do that and say, maybe I'll run a third time just to
make people mad.
Just to get under the skin of the Democrats. I used to love it. See, he wants to be a dictator.
Right.
They do all of that.
He even said, I'll be too old.
Yeah. Well, and then he said, and the Constitution won't let me.
Right.
There's this thing called the Constitution. All right, let's take a break. Then we'll come back and finish it up today. I got some other news stories I want to deal with you here on the Dave Elswick Show on 101.1 The Answer.
Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our app, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Kamak Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Here's an escalating conflict in the Middle East, taking a heavy toll on Wall Street this morning. The benchmarks are plunging. The Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P are all down more than 2%. Overseas markets have been tanking as well. And as the U.S. and Israel keep up their attacks on Iran, the Iranians are lashing out at other countries, firing what missiles and drones they have left in their arsenal. The American embassy in Saudi Arabia has been targeted by the Iranians.
Iran struck at the U.S.-Saudi embassy early Tuesday as it keeps on hitting targets around the region, while the U.S. and Israel pounded Iran with airstrikes in what President Donald Trump suggests is just the start of a relentless campaign. The attack from 2 drones on the Riyadh complex caused a limited fire and minor damage, according to the kingdom's defense ministry. The embassy is urging Americans to avoid the compound. It follows an attack on the U.S. embassy in Kuwait, which announced Tuesday it was now closed until further notice.
Correspondent Charles Deladesma says no one was in the embassy compound at the time of the attack. 6 U.S. service members have been killed in the war. Deaths in Iran, roughly 800. Several states kicking off the 2026 election cycle today.
Texas, Arkansas, and North Carolina are holding primary elections for party nominations ahead of the November midterms. Among those 3, Texas is generating the most interest with heated Senate races. Incumbent Republican John Cornyn is facing off against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and U.S. Congressman Wesley Hunt. In the Democratic contest, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is facing State Representative James Tallarico. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And on Wall Street, the Dow is down 1,098 points. It's a loss of 2.25%. The NASDAQ off 540 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Rwanda's army is a target of U.S. economic sanctions, punishment for the army's involvement in fighting in a neighboring country.
Rwanda and Congo signed a peace deal in December in Washington as part of President Trump's push to broker peace in the region and attract billions of dollars in Western investment. But the fighting has spread even beyond the current front lines, with M23 acknowledging it had used drones to attack the key mining city of Kisangani. This blatant violation appears to have crossed a line with the Trump administration. Financial sanctions have been imposed directly on key Rwandan military officials and the Rwandan army in its entirety.
The BBC's David Bamford. China's progress in building a modern economy, evident in its fighting robots and self-parking cars, is hitting limits as a downturn in its housing industry drags on and young people across the country struggle to land a job. News and analysis, townhall.com. It's one of the rites of spring, albeit a bit early in this town in the upper Midwest.
It might still be winter in Minnesota, but spring is in the air for people lined up at the Dairy Queen in Moorhead, Minnesota for its annual opening. The event is a community tradition no matter what the weather. The Dairy Queen Heritage Store has operated for 77 years and offers treats found almost nowhere else. People bundled up in coats, hats, and gloves in freezing cold to line up Sunday for ice cream treats at the Moorhead Dairy Queen. It seemed like a bit of a summer day, almost. Keith Peters reporting.
President Trump says he is planning to attend the White House Correspondents' Dinner on the 25th of April, the first time he will do so as president. Mr. Trump says the event ties into celebrations marking America's 250th birthday. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Tom Cotton served in uniform and fought in combat. Now he fights for Arkansas's conservative values in the Senate. President Trump and Governor Sanders endorsed Tom Cotton because he's a trusted conservative. And now he's fighting to put Arkansas and America first. Cotton has a 100% conservative voting record. He fights for lower prices and to deport illegal aliens. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
I fought for our country. In Arkansas, you trusted me to fight for you. Working with President Trump, we've secured the border, rebuilt our military, and passed the biggest middle-class tax cut in history. I'm fighting to lower your costs and get you a bigger paycheck. And I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump and Governor Sanders. I'm asking for your vote so we can keep fighting for Arkansas together. I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Paid for by Cotton for Senate.
All right, final hour of the Dave Elswick Show for a Tuesday. The week is moving quickly. We're into the second day, or the third, I guess the third day of March now. Today's the third.
It's already moving on.
Yeah, we're already eating into the third month of the year. I want to deal with one last thing about Iran before I leave it, and that is worldwide security. What we are doing in Iran, what we have done in Venezuela, is having a direct impact on the Chinese and on the Soviets, the Russians. I will never get over.
You have to wonder what's in their head, though.
You know,
you have to wonder what's in Putin's mind and Pyeongchang.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, are they coming after us next? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that has to be like their thoughts.
I doubt if that's crossing their mind. Here's what's crossing
Maybe a
their
little
mind.
bit.
We don't have enough oil to keep our own people warm during cold weather. What are they going to do? You know,
react.
Will they throw us out of office? I mean, look, we missed a perfect opportunity with Tiananmen Square.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't do enough.
Mm-mm.
I mean, we could have done more. And
they could have been free. Could you imagine a free China?
Well, at one time, it was. At one time, it was.
So it wasn't Iran.
And when it wasn't, when it became, what it is now, it was for China. It was because of a man by the name of
Mao.
Ho Chi Minh.
Oh, Ho Chi Minh.
Yeah, not Ho Chi Minh. Mao.
Yeah,
Mao
Zedong.
and the great cultural revolution that he brought, which was if you were smart, if you said anything against him, you died.
Mm-hmm.
That's just exactly the way it worked. He killed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And Chiang Kai-shek went to Taiwan. And because I think in many other countries wouldn't support him, Czech lost. He needed money. He needed arms. They couldn't get them. It was at the end of World War II. People were tired of fighting.
That's what happens.
I can kind of understand it, but I also understand that Patton understood fighting, and he used to say you might as well fight the Russians now
or
sooner or later, because we're going to have to take on those Rusky bastards sometime. That's the way he put it. And that's the way, the way MacArthur felt about the Chinese. And so anyway, he got removed from office, basically. And MacArthur did, because he challenged the president of not using nukes when we were the only country that had them against China. So bottom line, you learn from history. You learn from doing dumb things. But what they're doing right now with Iran, the Chinese get a lot of their oil from Iran, and now that's been cut off. The reason it's been cut off is because the pipeline and the harbor where that pipeline ends up at, and they can fill up oil tankers and send it over to the Chinese, no longer is workable. We bombed it, and they can't get oil from them. And the other country they can't get oil from now is Venezuela. China was a lot like Japan. They have world conquest on their mind, but they don't have enough oil to get it done. That's why they've been trying to, I believe, posey up against to the Russians, because the Russians have big reserves of oil. If it really gets, here's when you know it's going to get serious. If China ever attacks Russia because they want to take over the oil fields, if that happens, all bets are off. It's going to get ugly. You better fasten your seatbelt, because it's like that old movie with Betty Davis, fasten your seatbelts, ride's going to get rough, and it will get rough. And I think the president is trying to basically stop that from happening. He's the Straits of Hormuz now aren't running as smoothly as they should, and it is where the oil comes through from the Gulf of countries.
They said they're going to shoot down
out.
any ship that's in the strait.
Well, we stopped that part of it by sinking all their battleships. They don't have much. They've got a navy, but it's submerged. All right, just so you'll know, all those battleships have been sunk out there in the Arabian
Shot my
Sea.
battleship.
They took care of them.
We need to find that old.
Not going to be they got a problem as far as that's concerned. I like how Trump said that, don't make us show you what we can really do. Because I've said that on the air. You've heard me say it, Val.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody says, well, America showed them some shock. We showed them maybe 20%. We've never really unleashed all over a country what we can do. And even Americans would be stunned at what this country could do if we, and I'm not even talking nukes, all right? You don't have to deal with nukes. There's all kinds of stuff they got that can make somebody very, very uncomfortable. Let's put it that way. All right, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because we didn't touch on it here on the show. It's something important to talk about, is that what Trump is doing helps deal with the whole worldwide way things are being looked at. The remnants of the Iranian regime began asking for a conversation with Donald Trump today as U.S. and Israeli jets continue to pound military sites with impunity. They don't have any planes in Iran anymore. We control the skies. We control the skies now. They have no more.
Are they just going to use what they got till they got nothing else?
I guess
they're just going to keep.
That's basically what's
until
happening. Look, we're not targeting their missiles. We're targeting their launchers.
Right.
And
missiles can be reused by the people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't do nothing with it if you can't launch it.
Fields upon field covered with ballistic missiles, but if you can't launch them, they ain't any good to you.
Right.
And do nothing for you. So anyway, Trump told The Atlantic, and I think it's great that he's talking to one of the most biggest liberal rags in the world, and he's talking to them and saying that he would be willing to talk to those people. Now, we know what the terms will be. Trump addressed the American people to express his resolve to see the Iranian threat destroyed once and for all. He mourned the loss of 3 U.S. service members. He warned that the battle will produce more casualties. The outcome must be the end of all threats from Iran's regime, and offered a very clear deal for the remnants. Here's what he said. They can surrender. They can surrender, and receive immunity or die at the hands of the U.S. Israeli operation. Continue to fight us, we will kill you. You can put your hands up and say, I surrender, and we'll take that as you're not going to take us on. It's what we did to the Germans, and the Japanese both. You have to, it's unconditional surrender. Trump set out the call that Iranians had waited to hear. The time had arrived for them to take control of their own destiny. Turning to the Iranian people, Trump again urged them to seize this moment, adding that he fulfilled a promise to them to help. I will call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. And he has. It's up to the Iranian people now. We're not going to come up with a shadow government for the United States in Iran. That's not going to happen. They're going to elect their own leadership. Now, the people have to take to the streets and take their country back. That may take them a few weeks to get comfortable that the IRGC is not as powerful as it used to be, and that there's the people on the bad side of the tracks don't have the weaponry that they used to have. I heard a story today. Somebody was talking about how long it was going to be before the Mossad, and I would say even the Americans, don't start shipping weapons in to Iran for groups that want to completely overthrow the regime. And because let me tell you what, the people know who's been doing what they're doing.
That's right.
They know. Remember after World War II, have you ever watched any of the documentaries about what they did to people that fraternized with the Nazis when they like had Paris and things of that nature? They shot guys. Women, they cut all their hair off.
That's crazy. I mean,
So
that's all you did was cut their hair off?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you a movie you should watch. It's hard to find now, but it's Sophia Loren, and it's called Two Women, and it's all about her and her. I forget if it was her sister or her daughter, who have fraternized with the Nazis, and they both had their head shaved, and what it was like in Europe at that time. I guess
that was. How long was that supposed to tell people that you did that though? Like. Not very long for your hair to grow back.
Yeah, but if you had fairly short hair, you'd be looked at. Yeah,
I guess you would.
The bob was the big thing back then. You had to have a lot of hair to be able to do the bob back then. But anyway, they punished the people, and I got to believe that the Iranian people, after 50 years of being under the thumb of the Ayatollah and those religious zealots that they had over there, they're going to remember. They're going to remember. And there's some of those people are going to end up dangling from the end of a rope in a tree somewhere. That's what's going to happen. It's what happened in Afghanistan. A lot of those people that worked with our American troops as interpreters and things of that nature, if they didn't get out, they're probably dead now. The Taliban, they knew. They had. I'm sure they were kind of like Santa Claus. They had their list and they were checking it twice.
Trying to find out. Yep.
Yep. And going out and taking care of people, and that's a scary thought. I mean, look, Biden wanted to get out of there so fast he couldn't see straight, and he did the worst job that you could possibly do, and didn't help a lot of people that he or the military had said, if you'll be an interpreter, we'll bring you, after you're done, we'll bring you to the United States so you can live free. And that's why they did it. And then the United States reneged on that promise. So that's something you got to think is about as well. All right, we got a break that we got to get to. Let's do that. Then we got more to talk about right here on the Dave Elswick Show.
$10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
What if you could take 101.1 The Answer with you everywhere? You can. Download the 101.1 The Answer app and stay connected to the voices you trust, live and on demand. Wake up with Dave Elswick. Stay sharp with Doc Washburn. And hear from national voices like Chris DeGaulle, Scott Jennings, Hugh Hewitt, Larry Elder, and Mike Gallagher. Breaking news, bold opinions, local insight, national perspective, all in one place, all in your pocket. At work, in the car, on the go. If it matters to Arkansas and America, you'll hear it on 101.1 The Answer. Plus, stream us live anywhere. Catch up on podcasts and never miss a moment. Search 101.1 The Answer in your app store and download it today. 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I think the advice I would give is you don't need to know all the answers. The craziest thing was believing that your dad knew everything. So as a dad, you felt like you had to know everything. You had to get everything right. It's okay to make mistakes. As long as it's coming from love, then, it kind of starts to work itself out. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Dave Elswick Show is back. 101.1 The Answer.
So let's talk about something else that has changed in the Middle East, and that is other Middle Eastern countries turning against one of their own. All right, in this case, Iran. A couple of years ago, this never would have happened, but the neighboring nations were determined to stay out of it. Then Iran showed their colors. Over the past 36 hours, Iran has attacked more Arab and Muslim countries than Israel has in its entire history.
I read that too. Yep.
And most of these countries aren't even involved in the conflict.
Right. They're just lashing out.
Yeah, they're like a dying animal now. That's exactly what a dying animal does. It's been hurt. It's going to die. And if you try to come upon it and help it, it'll bite you. And that's how Iran is. The Iranian regime launched 460 plus missiles and 350 plus drones at 11 countries across the Middle East. That's Israel, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Cyprus, and Syria. They attacked all those countries. Ward Clark at Red State wrote this: things in the Middle East may be getting even spicier than they already were. on Sunday, Fox News correspondent Brett Barr posted up to his X account with a report that a coalition of Persian Gulf states are preparing to join the fight against Iran. Now, if that's true, as someone once said, it's a big freaking deal. And it is. Brett Barr said that the Gulf Cooperation Council of Arab States, the GCC, signals they may start aggressive operations in response to Iranian attacks on member states, a signal that Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and others are prepared to take offensive military action against Iran to defend their security. Hugh Hewitt had this to say: the regime in Iran is not rational. That has been obvious for decades, but the recklessness unveiled in January's massacre should have alerted everyone with eyes to see that the fanatics atop the theocracy are oblivious to anything remotely like the ordinary rules for the conduct of a nation, even one at war. While the expanding alliance against these crazed killers will pummel it without ceasing, only the fracturing of the ruling elite and or a popular uprising can restore freedom and sanity to Iran. The barrage is creating the conditions for either or both, but it is not going to be the arrival of outside armies that collapse the towering regime. It's going to be their own people that will, collapse this and be done with it. So keep listening to us and listening to Fox. You might want to, if you can stream, get Fox Raw, and that is anything that they do a really good job. They really, because they're not beholden to a clock to do certain things at certain times. They are talking to people long form that will really help you figure out what's going on. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about this guy that opened fire in Austin and why they think he's a terrorist. I will tell you again that when it comes to terrorism, the lone wolf terrorist is the most feared terrorist out there. And that is, as hard as it is to find a group that's trying to do something, try to find one person.
It's like a needle in a haystack.
Because you got to go out and find them. Yeah, it's like trying to find a piece of hay in a haystack.
I mean, yeah, because they're all like that. That's the thing. Like when you see them out in public, you know, and I don't like thinking this about everyone, but if you're in that religion, then you hate us. Like I can't help but look at you like, and I smile at them, you know, and I'm like, hey, you want to pet my dog? Because you know, if they pet a dog, if they touch a dog, they have to scrub their hands.
Well, and maybe they're not, you know, they believe in the religion, but are not fanatical about their religion.
If they're wearing a hijab, they're fanatical.
Well, probably.
Somebody said, well, that's not the law. No, it's not. It's a mandate from their men who are insecure.
Well, you know why they did it. Have I ever told you that story? Why
No.
they did it? The Habib came into, happening because when they were out in the desert, you'd have your tents, and then places to go to the bathroom and stuff were outside the tent. So you had to go outside where safety was to do your business. And even women who came from, quote, money in that time were being attacked by men, raped, things of that nature. So they started making the women wear that Habib, and most of those women had money. So it was to protect the higher ups is the reason they did it. All right, we got to get to the news. Let's do that right now.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. A Georgia man whose teen son is accused in the fatal shooting of 2 students and 2 teachers at a high school in Winder, Georgia back in 2024 has himself been convicted of second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. Fears of an escalating Mideast conflict taking a toll on Wall Street this morning. The benchmarks are down sharply. The Dow, NASDAQ, and the S&P all down close to 2%. Overseas markets are tanking as well. As the U.S. and Israel keep up their attacks on Iran, the Iranians are lashing out at other countries, including Israel, firing what missiles and drones they have left in their arsenal. And British Prime Minister Starmer says Britain will be sending a warship to Cyprus after a drone strike on a UK base. The Dow is down 829 points, NASDAQ off 367. This is SRN News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/term. That's ethos.com/term. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Arkansas Supreme Court Justice Nick Bronny. Appointed to the court by Governor Sarah Sanders, Justice Bronny believes in the rule of law and the Constitution, and his conservative record proves it. He has protected religious liberty, the Second Amendment, and girls' sports. He also upheld Arkansas's voter ID law. He does not legislate from the bench. He only interprets the law. Call Arkansas Supreme Court Justice Nick Bronny and thank him for defending our Constitution. Paid for by New Generation, Inc.
101.1 The Answer. Weather.
There's a slight chance of some sunshine today, but mainly it's going to be a cloudy day. 77 for the high, down to 53 with clouds tonight, and then a pretty good shot at rain tomorrow and a high of 78.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
We just kind of knew from the beginning that we were family.
They showcased a sense of love that I never had before. I mean, he's not only my parent, he's like my best friend.
At the end of the day, it's all been worth it. I wouldn't change a thing about our lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council. We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
When I met both of them, it was like my missing pieces were found. It was just like an instant, these are my kids. If you're considering adopting a teen, just do it. Kids need families. I don't care the age. Everybody deserves a family.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Did you hear Congressman Bruce Westerman on the Dave Elswick Show?
I give him a high grade on it because I think he was able to articulate a lot of the good things that he's done, that we've worked with him to do, and to remind Americans that what they're seeing put out by the Democrats and the mainstream media, which oftentimes are the same thing, is not all true. So I was really glad that he talked about the secure border, that he talked about how energy prices are lower and going down, how people are going to get bigger tax returns and tax refunds than they've had, and how he's working hard and doing things that are actually making things more affordable as inflation decreases. And we're even seeing...
Don't miss Congressman Bruce Westerman, Wednesday mornings on 101.1 The Answer. Don't miss out on the latest news, Operation Epic Fury is here, and we're giving you the inside information. Make sure you're listening for all the details on Operation Epic Fury, right here on 101.1 The Answer, where Little Rock comes to talk. The conservative voice of Arkansas, The Dave Elswick Show on 101.1 The Answer.
Yeah, now be sure that you tune in early tomorrow at the 7 o'clock hour. Because we'll have our congressman on, and that, of course, is Congressman Hill and Congressman Westerman. Is Congressman Crawford been in touch with you?
No,
Val?
I can reach back out though.
Yeah, reach out.
We
to
have him
them.
on for the 18th.
Okay, well,
Let's see.
let's reach out and see if he'll join us tomorrow.
All right,
Because of what's going on in Iran. And he's on the House Intelligence Committee. He's the head of it. So maybe.
Yeah, I had him on when you were out.
Maybe we can get him on to talk a little further. Let me break down some stuff. I just got this, and it comes from the Wall Street Journal. They got the information from Zaim Absalom, who is a Israeli, and he's got his own website. He's pretty. I found him to be pretty doggone accurate. I'll give you that website address so you can check in with him once in a while. The country of the UAE have had 174 ballistic and 8 cruise missiles launched at them, and have had 689 drones attack them. You have Kuwait, and Kuwait has had 97 ballistic missiles thrown at them, and 283 drones. Qatar, 67 ballistic missiles and 17 drones. Bahrain, 115 ballistic missiles, 126 Sinbad, and 68 other drones. Jordan, 13 ballistic missiles, multiple drones, and last but not least, Saudi Arabia. They haven't had any missiles thrown at them, but they have had 5 hostile drones and 2 other drones at their country. So that just gives you an opportunity to understand why these countries might be ready to go to war with Iran, because Iran's just doing stupid stuff now. I mean, they're doing plain stupid stuff. So let's go back to the information that I have and get it for you here. I'm trying to bring everything up that I've got. Let's see, where is it? All right. Loading up. I already told you about Netanyahu and the NATO secretary and what they've said about Trump. And they are big time supporters of Donald Trump. So for all of you people who are saying that we're looked down on by other countries, you couldn't be more wrong.
No.
You
Did
know,
you see what I sent you a while ago about China?
No.
The Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs says 6 hours ago, this is on Bricks News, the United States has lost its legitimacy to lead the world in the eyes of the peoples and states. It no longer possesses any moral eligibility to speak about values or peace after it provided the cover and support for a genocide in Gaza, which is recorded as one of the bloodiest and most brutal crimes of the modern era.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So China must not be able to speak or
So do I listen
read
to
English.
China? No.
No.
Okay, so I'm not worried.
They
about
clearly
what they
can't
say.
read or speak English right now.
Yeah. All right. So
And then check this other one out. There's like this other, this is funny because this is, I don't even know where this is. You might know. Burkina Faso.
no.
Burkina Faso is ready to assist military if Iran should ask. I don't even know where that is. Like the days of the Americans acting with impunity are over, says the dictator of Burkina Faso.
You know what it sounds like? Have you ever read the play or seen the movie The Mouse That Roared?
Yeah.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
that reminds
I
me
haven't
of.
never even heard of Burkina Faso.
And they went to war they'd like to get to war with the United States so that we would rebuild them after we destroy them.
They should pipe down a little bit.
Anyway, let's continue doing what we're doing. The Iranian units have been cut off from regime leaders, and the breakdown in the chain of command could be showing that the Iranian military is collapsing. Israel Hayam, who has a website that doesn't report anything until he's sure it's 100% true, says signs are mounting that Iran's ruling regime is losing control over parts of its military apparatus, with some units of the army and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps effectively cut off from senior command and acting independently, according to 3 diplomatic sources in the Gulf region. The sources, who are closely familiar with developments in Tehran, told this guy that a significant number of units have lost contact with the top leadership, and some have even ceased functioning as a result. Now, what you're going to hear next is what I told you in the first hour today. They warned that the situation is particularly dangerous because elements within the regime appear to be adopting a scorched earth approach, targeting oil and gas infrastructure. This, they said, may explain the limited attacks so far on energy facilities in Gulf states. And this from Al-Salum, who I was just quoting from, a reliable intelligence source confirms a serious breakdown in the chain of command. This guy intercepted text messages to the command centers of some of these IRGC areas, their field commanders. And they're driven by active mutiny within the IRGC. A group of key IRGC field commanders are now threatening to go public and announce their defection if Iran's new leadership council fails to deliver a political solution. The only political solution there is, son, is that you guys, surrender and lay down your weaponry. That's what you're going to have to do. And if you do that, if you'll walk away and say you're going to not have anything to do with them, then the president is willing to offer immunity to what you did leading up to that. Kind of what we did with the Nazis after World War II. I mean, we didn't have any place to put, tens of thousands of prisoners. So they gave them immunity. And, of course, they carried that with them for the rest of their lives, that they were a member of the Nazi Party and had been active with that Nazi Party and did their bidding. I gave you the acts of terror that have occurred because I would hate to have any young people think that we went out and did this just willy-nilly.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Happened, and that's not what happened.
But that's the problem. The Democrats are like, oh, they're so evil. But they weren't paying attention either. Like they don't know. They just now woke up because they hate Trump.
Now, the FBI, I believe, should be watching very closely on some of these mosques in the United States. For instance, a D.C. area mosque pledged its loyalty on Sunday to our leader, Shahid Ayatollah Ali Khomeini, mourning his martyrdom after the Iranian dictator was killed in a U.S.-Israeli operation. The Manassas Mosque is a sponsor alongside left-wing groups like Code Pink and the D.C. chapter of Democratic Socialists of America of a, quote, stop the war on Iran, unquote, march on the White House planned for Monday night. on its Instagram page. The mosque calls Iran's dictator, you're not going to believe these. This is good, Val, not America's elected representatives, its leader, and demands to end U.S. Zionist aggression. The picture was deleted after the Daily Wire captured it. Several members of Congress, in response to the Daily Wire's flagging of the mosque aligning with an enemy during wartime, called for the members of the mosque to be denaturalized and deported. The enemy is inside the gates, said Congressman Keith Self of Texas, a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Deport all who refuse to pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Congressman Andy Ogus of Tennessee said, we need to get them the hell out of our country. Congressman Randy Fine of Florida said, deport them now. And Congressman Chip Roy said, need to get them out of the country as quickly as possible. And I agree with that. They're supporting those who hate us and say that they hate us. The Daily Wire story on that, I got it here in front of me. Let's see. That mosque, by the way, the Manassas Mosque, is right near the Pentagon and has labeled Iran's Khomeini as its martyred leader. A D.C. area mosque pledged its loyalty on Sunday to their leader, Shahid Khomeini, mourning his martyrdom, and the Iranian dictator was killed in a U.S.-Israeli operation. And they got a picture here, and I can't blow it up, showing that this was their person, and they're having a special service for him. The Manassas Mosque is a sponsor alongside left-wing groups like Code Pink and the D.C. chapter Democratic Socialists of America of a, quote, Stop the War on Iran march on the White House planned coming up Monday night. So it just goes to show these people are behind our enemies, and I believe that the people who are part of that mosque should leave our country. They should be out of here.
Yeah, if I've always said that. Like whenever Obama's like, we can't keep people from coming to the country. Yes, you can. If those people look like the people that flew those planes into the towers, and yes, they were flown into the towers. I'm so sick of the conspiracy theorists. Oh, that didn't really happen. I watched it. You're telling me that they made that all up? Like, I watched the planes fly into the towers. We heard the voicemails and the emails. People left their families. Like, you can't tell me that not one person wouldn't have, oh, we're going to get caught, leaked information. Like, if, I'm sorry, but if those people look like those people and they hate us, and now 20-something years later, 25 years later, this is their plan to get inside us like a Trojan horse. And I've said it all along. And now New York elects a Muslim as their mayor. Like, what happened to let's not forget? What happened to that? Like, it just blows my mind.
Yeah.
People had babies, and those babies now vote.
Yeah, it's like the people, and you'll get your share of these when we do this. On September 11th, I'll during one of the hours of that show, we'll play back as much of the coverage that was done that day when those planes went into the towers and when they fell. And there are people, Val, that hate it when I play that stuff. And they say, why are you doing this? You just open all the wounds. And I said, it's the same reason that I commemorate Pearl Harbor Day, because we can't forget that stuff happens.
No. And when you forget about it,
it happens again.
Exactly. And your kids don't know about it, because just because you were horrified and traumatized by it, your children weren't. And they need to be traumatized by it. I'm sorry, but that's not always a bad thing.
Yeah, well, they need to know about it at least. Absolutely. And taught by love their country and are not, leftists, and are speaking the way that they want to. All right, got to get a final break in. It's 10 till 10 here on the Dave Elswick Show. Show has gone fast today. It really has. We've had a lot of material, and like those liners are saying, if you want to know what's going on with this military action that's going on in the Persian Gulf area, you'll keep your radio tuned right here to 101.1 FM, The Answer.
We're keeping Arkansas beautiful. Want to lend a hand? Don't be afraid to get them dirty. Every day, volunteers around the state are picking up litter, planting trees and wildflowers, recycling, and more. You know what these volunteers need most? Help. Volunteer today at keeparkansasbeautiful.com. Learn more about all our programs. A message brought to you by the Keep Arkansas Beautiful Commission, this station, and the Arkansas Broadcasters Association.
Tom Cotton served in uniform and fought in combat. Now he fights for Arkansas's conservative values in the Senate. President Trump and Governor Sanders endorsed Tom Cotton because he's a trusted conservative. And now he's fighting to put Arkansas and America first. Cotton has a 100% conservative voting record. He fights for lower prices and to deport illegal aliens. Here's Senator Tom Cotton.
I fought for our country. In Arkansas, you trusted me to fight for you. Working with President Trump, we've secured the border, rebuilt our military, and passed the biggest middle-class tax cut in history. I'm fighting to lower your costs and get you a bigger paycheck. And I'm honored to be endorsed by President Trump and Governor Sanders. I'm asking for your vote so we can keep fighting for Arkansas together. I'm Tom Cotton. I approve this message.
Paid for by Cotton for Senate.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Here at 101.1 The Answer, we've got a brand new studio phone number that makes it easier for you to connect with us. Whether you want to talk to Dave Elswick, Doc Washburn, or any of our other local hosts, it's now easier than ever to let us know your thoughts. Just call 501-401-1011. 501-401-1011. One more time, 501-401-1011.
The Dave Elswick Show continues now. 101.1, The Answer.
The president has spoken now about the shooter there at in Austin, Texas. They killed 2 outside a bar and wounded 6, I think it was.
You know, it's crazy you bring that up in the last couple of minutes because I was just watching a video of a CBS reporter in Austin. He's going viral for refusing to follow a text from a superior telling him not to focus on a massive crowd praising Trump's actions in Iran.
Yeah.
I'll send that to you.
It doesn't surprise me.
He's like, well, they're like, don't focus on the crowd chanting Trump. And he goes, well, I'm going to.
I have had more than a few stories spiked in my time, so I can tell you that doesn't surprise me at all.
But it surprises me that he would give up his job because he's going to get fired.
Yeah, well,
that's awesome, though.
He's got some principles.
We need more of that.
And Fox should hire
Yep,
him.
they will, but he'll be somewhere.
So here you go. I hope you don't worry too much, said the president. He was talking to the Daily Wire yesterday. about 6 o'clock our time, in an interview that they had, Trump said Americans should not worry about a rise in terrorist threats following the outbreak of hostilities in Iran, calling the Texas shooter who fatally shot 2 people while wearing an Iranian flag shirt just a whack job. But it's those whack jobs that are hard to identify in time before they start shooting at people. Quote, I hope you don't worry too much, the president told the Daily Wire. Uh, he talked about this gunman who's 53 years old, and he did his shooting about 2 a.m. Sunday morning on West 6th Street in Austin, which is a pretty heavy party town in that area. It used to be you go to that part and you hear great music coming out of about every one of those bars along there. Anyway, the guy had a sweatshirt on that read "Property of Allah," and he had a T-shirt on with the Iranian flag on it. The FBI currently investigating whether this guy was motivated by the conflict in Iran, but President Trump is confident the incidents were even unrelated. I think it's probably just a whack job, a total whack job, Trump told the Daily News. But like so many others, probably staged. All right, making sure it was staged. CBS News reports that authorities found an Iranian flag and images of Iranian leaders in this terrorist house and a Quran in his car. While authorities have not yet confirmed the motive, the attack has led to speculation that the incident was a lone wolf domestic terror attack. The shooter was from Senegal and had first entered the U.S. back in 2000 on a B2 tourist visa. He became a permanent resident 6 years after he entered the country by marrying a United States citizen and was naturalized in 2013. The White House confirmed on Sunday that the president was briefed about the shooting in Austin, but he does not appear to have publicly commented on it otherwise. FBI Director Kash Patel promised on Saturday that FBI personnel are fully engaged on the situation overseas. He says, last night I instructed our counterterrorism and intelligence teams to be on high alert and mobilize all existing and assisting security assets needed. Our JTTFs throughout the country are working 24/7, as always, to address and disrupt any potential threats to the homeland. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth told the Daily Wire Monday that the Trump administration is monitoring for potential domestic threats related to Operation Epic Fury. Well, across the intra-agency in full cooperation, of course, we're paying attention to any possibilities there, Hegseth said during a Monday morning Pentagon press conference. And he also went on and said, we're ready for this. We've seen these types of folks before, and the American people can rest assured that we're vigilant on that. That wraps it up for me here on a Tuesday. We'll get into more things tomorrow. Don't forget, first hour, I've already been contacted from Hill's office, wants to know what I want to talk about. I think I'm going to write back and say, I'll give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. All right. So anyway,
they know you long enough.
We got Congressman Hill and Congressman Westerman in the first hour of the show tomorrow here on the Dave Elswick Show. I'll see you on the radio tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Go vote.
Find us at 1011fmtheanswer.com. Download our apps, stream us 24/7, or watch us at snc.tv. KDXE, Cabot Village, Little Rock.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Iran has expanded its targets in a spiraling war. It struck the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia today as Washington began to pull many of its staff out of the Middle East.